Gagazet is Ronso land, sacred mountain of Yevon. The mountain will not bear the footsteps of infidels.
All we hear is Radio Gagazet, Radio Gugazet, Radio blah blah zet.
This is the Every FNFF podcast. I had to think of what we were for a minute. I was like, this is the Every FNFF. And then like my mind had like a bunch of media types in it.
The year 2021, podcasts are banned. It's pod loose.
How long have we been doing this
Podloose.
podcast now?
A while.
Like
Either too long or not long enough, depending on who you ask, I think.
Interesting. How many? We had a guest on our second episode. We only made it one episode in. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Who was our first
it's
guest?
before I was even on.
Oh, that's true.
I wasn't even out. Hey, who was that?
This is Ali, John Tier.
Oh, it's Ali. Oh, that's
Hey.
right. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
You know him many things, but most people know him as the first Every FNFF guest.
It's me. It's true.
Before I was even a host.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
true. Yeah, that's true.
You were present in spirit and mechanics.
Ali is actually OG.
Yeah, Holly has more seniority than I do.
Well, I'm glad to be back, though.
Dude, it feels like it's been about a calm length since we started this podcast.
Yeah, seriously. I feel like it would have anyway, just because we have been doing it for so long and everything's like, you know, like that's how time works. But especially because like we finished the first season and then everything in the world just went insane
Oh my god, it did. I know.
and it has not stopped.
It definitely feels weird because this isn't in person. Like when I was doing it the first time, we were all in the same room.
Yeah, we're in my very hot, sweaty attic.
We had to turn off the AC between during the break, I should say.
Oh my god, yeah.
And now we're all like
Yep.
in warehouses and far apart.
Speaking of keeping it nice and cold, though, we're at Mt Gagazet today, baby.
I'm so excited.
A beautiful snowy wonderland.
According to Lulu, it's all plateaus past the calmlands, so a nice snowy vertical plateau.
Yeah, you know.
Love it.
What is a mountain but a upright, erect field?
But several plateaus stacked on one another.
Yeah, like a tiramisu.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, I'm hungry now.
Yeah,
We just fought Defender X, Defender 10, depending on how you want to say it.
right.
The little Colossus who could.
Yeah, and we're in a Kamari's turf now, baby. We made it all the way.
Yeah, so after we end the last cutscene, seeing a unit kind of look out over the area, we enter a snowy kind of bend with a bunch of columns on either side leading up to what's almost like a torii gate, like in Japan, but
Yeah.
it's in the mountains with covered
Yeah.
in snow and stuff.
That's actually what I was thinking too when I saw these.
For some reason, when you said Tory gate, I just immediately went to like British politics, and I'm like, what the fuck do the
Oh, no.
Tories need a gate for?
What did Torii Amos do this time?
That's like their answer to the wall.
Hashtag.
But yeah, like as soon as we like start walking up on the mountain, there's like we're at the foot of it, right? So there's like still some like clearings and like areas to stand. So kind of as soon as we walk in, there's a little nice clearing. I said clearing twice, but whatever. And fucking Biran and Yankee fucking jump down from the mountain somewhere, and I was like, oh, I knew it wouldn't be fucking long before we saw these bozos.
Yeah.
Kelkronso, Maester of Yevon, is here.
Yo, don't you hate it when you go back to your hometown and all your bullies from high school are there as well, like at the local dive bar, and you're like, ah, this fucking asshole. I hope he doesn't recognize me. I don't want to talk to him. I wonder if he still has that horn that he stole from me.
Also, your bullies have like teamed up with like a local pastor or whatever.
Father McGillicuddy, not you too.
He also is shoving you in your locker now. Like it just sucks.
Well, yeah, Kelk got up here pretty fast. It seems
Oh
like.
yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, I want to talk about this real quick. This is the guy who Oren said it was convenient that he left the church, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so me thinking that they were just like, oh yeah, he left. I thought that they just killed him. Like I thought that was the thing, but not at all. It's just like no, he literally why was there so much? Why do we put so much gravity on convenient when like literally he's just like yo, fuck this shit. It's too.
Yeah, we won't be seeing him around very much anymore. He's going to Chicago.
I take it to mean that like Oren. I take it to mean that like Oren was thinking like, oh, convenient of him to like wash his hands of the whole thing. Like that's what I figured.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like that's it. We're no longer supporting Donald Trump in his last week in office because of this new horrible thing that happened. It's like, no, you don't just get we don't get a stamp of approval for doing the bare minimum at the fucking end of it.
Yeah.
Like
they pulled
well, all that time Kelk was considering leaving.
Yeah, exactly. It was really weighing.
So like from now on, we'll call that pulling a Kelk. Twitter and all these multimedia platforms are really kelking this week.
Man, X it really is just like real life.
I know, it sucks. That's why it sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I do really like Final Fantasy X. I do not like everything else about the world, though. The real world.
Speaking of, Ollie, you were last on for season 1. What's your experience with Final Fantasy X?
I remembered playing it when it was new.
Like on the PS2?
On the PS2, yeah. I originally did not make it to the very end. I believe I got fairly far in like the last chapter, but I didn't complete I didn't beat the last boss. So I had to watch a few videos at that point to figure out what happened.
Did you do what I always do with RPGs, which is like you get to the last boss and then you're like, no, I can't beat it until I do all the side quests, but then you just never do the side quests, so you never beat it?
I was kind of lazy on that one. I'm not usually a completionist, so with that one, I just basically wanted to get over with the main story just to know what happened.
Right.
If I felt like it, I would have gone backwards, but I mean, that was that still memory cards? I didn't feel like it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with RPGs for me, like I usually try and just like finish the game and then go back and do side quests. So that's why I hate when there's like timed events that it's like, oh, if you didn't do this the first time, then have fun on your next playthrough to do it or whatever. Like I always hate that. But I think I actually found out recently that what I thought for years was the final boss of Tales of Symphonia that I've been talking about forever, being like, I got to the final boss. There was a bunch of fake outs and stuff, but I finally got to the final boss and then like didn't beat it. And then like I was talking about that the other day and someone was like, oh yeah, no, that's not the final boss. I was like, oh fuck, like I wasn't even close then.
Dude, Tales games do be that way.
Yeah.
They like lead you up
such
to
a
like
good
this
game,
big
though.
final encounter and then you finally do it and like they'll like run credits or even be like, and everybody was fine, but then also this other thing happened. Like, anyway, so there's a bunch of the Ronso pop out. It's kind of like, this is all the Ronso, baby. I've never seen so many Ronso in one place.
Yeah, for a snow barren mountain, everyone who lives here doesn't wear many clothes.
I don't know. I guess the cats on my porch are fine, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think because they're like cats, seem to be okay. I do want to talk about that a little later on about someone not being dressed appropriately for this area, but we can.
I think I know what you're referring to because I was going to approach that as well.
Yeah, so Kelk comes out and says, Summoner Yuna and Guardians, leave here at once.
Gagazet is Ronso land, sacred mountain of Yevon. The mountain will not bear the footsteps of infidels.
And like Biron and fucking Yankee have to jump on. Biron says, enemy of Yevon is enemy of Ronso, leave traitors. And like, you just jumped in that conversation to sound cool. Fuck off.
Yeah. I like how Yuna snaps back though. Like it's a really fucking kick-ass moment. Like I kind of wasn't expecting this, even though like obviously this is going to be her response, but she says,
I have cast aside Yevon. I follow the temple no more.
which is just so badass. It's like that was her
I
whole
love it.
thing, and now she's just like, no, fuck that. I'm still doing this, but like not for the religious reasons.
Yeah, no, that is badass.
It's definitely a kind of quote that I would expect to see in like a history book somewhere where you see a picture of Yuna and like the quote is that. Like it's one of her popular things she ever said.
Let them eat Albed potions.
Kelk says, then you will die by those words. And Yuna again, she says, so be it. Like, oh shit, she's ready to throw the fuck down. She says, Yevon has warped the teachings and betrayed us all. And even Waka jumps in and says,
Nothing but a bunch of low-down tricksters, eh?
and like I was like, Waka finally coming around.
Oh
my
yeah.
man.
Meanwhile, like Riku and Titus are like, yeah, I'm just like cheering.
They both do the same animation too at the same time.
Yeah.
Down with Yevon. Like, yeah, Waka's finally turned. He's been Joker-fied.
He's been Joker-fied, but not quite as heavily as being Joker-fied. He's been Trickster-fied.
The other Mark Hamill character.
A Joker only uses 10% of his tricks. I don't even know how much the percentage is for a trickster.
She says, we have no regrets. And then Yankee says, blasphemers. And like they get ready to fight. Like Biron and Yankee kind of like square up, and Kimari runs up in front of them and like, you know, to protect Yuna. Kelk says, a summoner and her guardians. And then Lulu kind of like, I feel like she's like tries to jump in the middle of this situation that's beginning and says, Lord Kelk Ronso, if I may, have you not also turned your back on Bevel? And then Orin says, but still, you guard Gagazet as a Ronso, not a maester. Yuna is much the same. And then Biron like looks back at Kelk and says,
Elder Kelk, let Biron rend them asunder.
and Yankee like goes, no escape, not one. And Yuna says, no, we will not flee. We will fight and continue on. And so there's this whole situation going down. People are getting ready to fight, and like Orin and Lulu are trying to kind of like suss out some kind of peaceful option here. Kelk says, you've been branded a traitor, but still you would fight sin, lost to the temple, hated by the people, and yet you continue your pilgrimage. Everything is lost. What do you fight for? And then she just says, I fight for Spira. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah. That would be another
Like,
history
Unipog.
book quote for her, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be the
absolutely.
chapter title of like this.
It's like a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I drive for, or I brake for Spirit. I don't know.
How's my fighting? Call 1-800. Eunice says, the people long for the calm. I can give it to them. It's all I can give. Defeating sin, ending pain, this I can do.
And while all that is going on, it also just kind of has like different shots of the party, you know, like hearing these like inspirational words. And it shows Kimari standing up like chest to chest with Biron. And like Biron is fucking massive. He is like towering over
Dude.
Kimari.
Yeah.
Like Kamari's like face is at his like chest, and they're both like pushing out their chest, like ready to.
Kamari
like,
is already like 7 feet tall, or at least.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Biron is like another head and a half higher than him, so he's just
He's got like 9 feet at least, yeah. He's a
Yeah,
big
for
old
sure.
boy.
So one thing I would interject with is, and this is kind of nerdy, but it was something I thought was kind of cool, was Kelk, from what I remember, Kelk speaks pretty much straightforward English, at least in, you know, in the English script.
I was literally going to say
Yeah.
the same thing. I think he went to Yevon College.
Yeah. But it makes sense though. 'cause,
Everyone
like,
else talks like the Hulk.
yeah, but it makes sense because like everyone else is spending most of their time around other Ronso, so he's the only one who would actually, you know, as a maester, have contact with everybody else who speaks common language.
He's the only one who speaks the Maester's English, I think is what they call it.
I think the like canonical in lore reason for this is that like the Church of Yevon hasn't gotten around to like fully assimilating the Ronso yet, like
Oh,
they
yeah.
did with the Guado, where they're like the Guado they still speak the old speak, but like you like that
Yeah,
older
yeah.
couple or whatever. Like the Ronso are like like all of Yevon's like, now we'll get them next. Like we'll like just take away all of their culture for our own purposes later.
The Guado would be more bearable if they did speak like the Ronso, though.
They have a combination where they're like, thou mountain Gagazet climbing not good.
Yeah, they have a smaller vocabulary, but it's a much like fancier vocabulary.
Yeah, right. My mountain not let traveler on, forsooth.
Egads.
But after this exchange, though, Kelk is swayed by it, and because he turns around and says, "Ronso, let them pass. Summoner Yuna, your will is stronger than steel, tempered steel that even the mightiest Ronso could not hope to bend."
Yuna, we bow to your will. Now go. The sacred heights of Gagazet welcome you.
And there's like a cool camera shot that shows from underneath Kelk and like shows the big gate on top of him, and he's like, you can go. And then Yuna bows and says, "We thank you," and then you're allowed to pass on.
Yeah, you can save now.
I also do want to point out that like while all this is going on, like you can tell that the animation team didn't really put too much of their time into like animating the Ronso talking compared to like any other character. Like just because it's like
they don't
the
have
mouth
an articulated jaw.
Yeah,
they just have like almost like a stretched texture where their mouth is.
Yeah. I was a little bummed about that.
Because I kind of wish like after you're seeing Kamari's like beautiful like upgraded model for his face, like everyone else says, looks kind of Play-Doh-y.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the age of the game with that.
But yeah, at this point you're allowed to like walk around and talk to your party members if you want, as we usually do, and they all say various things. Are there any that stood out to you guys?
Riku's still thinking.
Yeah, and she's still saying, this is tricky.
This is a toughie.
Like Lulu just mentions that Yuna has grown very strong, like, and it's obvious now.
I'd say it's more like she's driven. Don't you think?
That's why she's strong. She's still pressing forward. When weak people are driven, they can't go far before they break. She keeps going forward because she is strong.
Which I think is pretty cool.
So I talked to everybody. I know Waka says something about like, past here is Xanarkand, and this Xanarkand's probably in Crumbles, but maybe the one you're from is out there somewhere, which I thought was kind of cute.
I talked to Oren, who had a really...
I like Oren.
Oh, yeah, Oren's is
he basically
real
is
good.
kind of calling out like the kind of like outsider privilege kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is as I thought.
What is?
Yevon is in turmoil. Micah tries to keep it whole, but it crumbles around him.
Look, I couldn't care less what happens to Yevon.
Because you are not of this world. To those who truly believe in the teachings, a time of much pain is coming.
Yeah, I like that.
And if you talk to him again, he has more cool dialogue as well. Just like with everything that we know, like I know that on the podcast we've alluded to Gagazet before. We're kind of learning more lore-wise about like how like just like historic this mountain is and how like dire it is for summoners and stuff. And Oren says, 10 years ago, I looked up at Gagazet from where we stand now. And Titus is like, my old man say anything? And he says,
I do not remember. All I could think of was how I might keep Braska alive. Your duties as guardian will soon end.
Yeah. I do like the thought that he too has been like, how do I keep my summoner alive? So I guess he had learned the truth about it. Possibly.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't learn the truth yet, and he's just thinking about how to get Braska to Xanarkand. Because, like, this mountain's a bitch.
I think it's implied that he, at least my reading of it was that it's implied that he knew that, like, what the pilgrimage actually is, and Braska, like, what's going to be at the end. Because, I mean, like he was saying, he's not an outsider to all of this. Like, he knows like all the cultural stuff. The only one who like didn't is Titus, because he's an outsider.
That's right.
I spoke to Maester Kelk next. He of course says, Summer Yuna's words, they ring clear in my soul.
Small voice, small frame, but a will that towers over Gagazet's peak.
Very good. I love that.
Yeah, I think with Waka's dialogue, he just kind of talks about how he's starting to believe, or like actually does believe Titus about his Xanarkand and stuff, and that, you know, hopefully they can find a way there.
Oh yeah, it's like, hey, your home is just coming up. We're almost there.
Yeah, and like Titus thinks he's making fun of him. He's like, yeah, like as if you believe it.
I do like Waka's gradual, like, turning. It's not instant.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a struggle.
I feel like he's becoming a little bit more bearable now.
We can push him left.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, I mean, at that point, I would say that we're ready to start the climb, yeah?
Yeah, we can save.
Yeah.
We can, there's a merchant guy here we can talk to if you want to load up on stuff.
Get some tough Ronso weapons.
Oh yeah, only the best.
Yeah, because the sacred heights of Gagazet shun the weak. Use Ronso weapons. I think it pretty good weapons too. I don't know if I actually bought any, but they have a lot of slots that you can customize and stuff. And they have like the first one, like the Baroque sword has like strength plus 10%, and then 2 open slots. So
cool. It's not important, but I think at this point you can go back. If you haven't gotten a chocobo, you can go back, and the chocobo trainer will not make much of a stink about trying to give you one.
Oh.
So you only have to have like one conversation to like try to train it instead of like convince her that like you should have a chocobo. So this is when that shifts.
Okay.
Nice.
I will talk about chocobos later.
I do. There actually is one more thing of dialogue that's another Ronso standing next to the merchant. And they say, to Ronso, losing Horn is greatest disgrace, but hornless Kimari return to mountain. Why? Kimari stand tall, unashamed. Lose Horn, but gain friends. It's pretty nice.
I do like that.
Hornless.
But yeah, we can go all of like fucking 3 steps up the mountain before we get another cutscene. Like we're stopped again. Like it's literally not even to like the next little clearing. We just like go past the gate and immediately cutscene. Biran and Yankee kind of like come down on us again, like the same way that they did the first time almost. But they stand in front of us, and Titus says,
haven't you bothered us enough?
And Biran says,
Summoner may pass. Guardians may pass. Kimari not pass.
Kimari shames Ronso brothers. Kimari forget his birth. Forget his people, forget his mountain. Little Ronso, weakling Ronso. And then Biran says, mountain hate the weak, hate the small. If you will climb. And then Kimari just goes, I will prove my strength. And Biran says, you think you will win? You not forget who took your horn. Never forget. Did we know that? We knew that, right? That they were the ones?
I'm glad you asked that. This could be immediately where like you find that out, or I just realized like in my screenshots, like right before you get to the mountain where this cutscene happens, there's like another Ronso just standing there, and if you talk to him, he says quarrel between Biran and Kimari started 10 years ago. Young Ronso fight each other to show strength. Biran beat Kimari, but Kimari never admit losing, not once. Angry Biran broke Kimari's horn. Kimari could not bear shame and left Sacred Mountain. Kimari talk less after horn broken.
Well, I guess we know like Kimari's story pretty much then, right?
Yeah.
He was on the mountain until that happened, and then he went out, and then he eventually found Orin, I think?
Maybe Orin coming back down the mountain?
Well, after he was saved by Rin, right? Rin saved Orin coming back down the mountain. And then Orin got up, told Kimari that there's a little girl named Yuna in Bavel, take her to Besaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
Wow. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
I feel like I know everything now.
Yankee says,
Kimari never beat Brother Biran. Never win.
And Kimari says, this time I win. I will win. And like Titus gets ready to fight. Like he's like, all right, let's fucking do this. And Kimari like puts his hand up and is like, no. And Titus just says, is this some kind of Ronso thing? Like, bro. Like, you know what? I used to hate Titus for this kind of stuff, but now I'm just like, he's just a dullard. It's fine. Like,
yeah, he's just dumb. He's trying, I think, but he's just
trying.
Dumb.
At the very least, he caught on to that fast.
Yeah. Right.
And at least he's not like, he said it in kind of an insensitive way, but at least he's not like, no, that's stupid, I'm gonna help you fight. He's like, oh, okay, this is a thing that I should, probably sit out.
Hashtag just Ronso things.
Yeah, and then all the Ronso kind of just like generically insult each other for a little while, and then we get into a battle.
Hell yeah.
So there's actually a really cool music that's been playing since we entered, which is like a nice, beautiful, like kind of I'm not sure the name of like a Japanese like style violin, that kind of thing, but it's been playing, but it's very like beautiful and ornate. But like during the basically boss fight, it's still playing, which is really kind of nice. Like we're on this mountain with this like beautiful shimmery kind of Japanese style music playing behind it.
Yeah,
so, like, it's a really cool juxtaposition than what we're used to, especially of like all these other bosses, which just have the standard like enemy attack music.
Yeah.
So one of the two reasons that I selected this as my chapter to join in on was because of that song. It's one of my favorite.
Really?
It's one of my favorite songs in the entire soundtrack.
It's such a good track.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to it again. I don't really remember right offhand exactly how it goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good music in this episode.
Yeah, but we're in basically a boss fight, but it's just Kimari, and
it's just Kimari, the character who you may not have leveled up at all during the course of the game.
Well, the good thing is that the health of Biran and Yankee actually depends on how strong your Kamari is, it scales. So it
Yeah.
doesn't, so
that's
it's not
good.
too hard. Because for me, I was like, okay, I got this. But then I looked in the thing. There's some math that goes involved that calculating what their HP is.
Yeah, and not just HP either, like strength and magic as well.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's pretty much just like, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, up until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was just like having Kimari hover around the Ultima thing that's locked behind 4 level 4 key spheres. I was like, if I didn't level up, I might be like kind of screwed here. But it kind of works like Final Fantasy VIII, where like this fight in particular just stacks with whatever Kimari is. There's like a bunch of math depending on what Kamari's strength stat is will determine what Biran and Yankee's stats are.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think Biran is like the strength one, and then Yankee, I think, is like the magic one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, this is a good place to use Lancet because there's some really good stuff you can take from these guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool because, like, I like that, like, Kimari knows the Lancet. And then at the very beginning, we're told that Kimari knows the Fiend's way of fighting. And, like, I like that this kind of just implies that, like, no, all the Ronso do. Like, all the Ronso have the ability to learn Fiend attacks. Because, like, we've been using Lancet to get Kimari's overdrives, which are just enemy attacks. But if you use them on Biran and Yankee, you can get the ones that they've learned from other fiends. So, like, if you've missed a lot of overdrives, you can get them here.
You take credit.
Yeah, like, notably, I think it's all of the ones up to this point. If you missed any of them, like, you'll just get them when as you use Lancet on both of them.
So some of the things I got, Doom from Biran, which is like Curse in Pokemon, where after 20 moves, it just does instant death on whoever you cast it on, which is really cool. And I also got, I think, Mighty Guard, which just casts shield and protect on your whole party.
Dude, Mighty Guard is so fucking choice. It is like, oh, dude, it will save your butt.
Yeah.
The other one, I think, is White Wind, which is also a really good one.
I think that's a healing one, right?
Yeah, it heals your entire party for whatever whichever Kamari's HP is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So if he has 1,000 HP, it will heal everyone else for 1,000 HP.
Wasn't that also just a little throwback?
It's like in every Final Fantasy.
Yeah, because I think it was like an Aerith.
I think it was an Aerith limit break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. That was not White Wind. That was I think Healing Wind. Because
oh yeah, you're right.
Because one of the enemies on the beach outside of the Gold Saucer teaches you White Wind for your enemy skill materia.
Oh,
good memory.
Right. That makes more sense then. That lines up.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other things I think Yankee you can get from is Fire, Aqua, and Stone Breath, which are all very good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thrust Kick from Biran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got Thrust Kick after not getting it from those stupid robot guys. Because I was like, it's a robot. I can't learn an enemy skill from it.
I just kept using Lancet until I got everything out of each one.
Yeah, that's what I did. And then in terms of like this fight and in terms of strategy, if they're both standing next to each other, they'll like guard one another. So like, which I think like works out to you can't really do anything that's like effective against them, because if you're doing like a physical thing, like on Yankee, Biran will like block it or whatever. Like I think it works out to where. But they also do a move called, I think, Bulldozer, where they like do like a wrestling move where like they clothesline Kimari, and then there's they're on either side of you, and then like as they're split up, that's when you can kind of focus your attacks if you want to.
Right.
Oh,
Carl, I heard you got some good steel loot from this, right?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, I decided to, like, since I was so close to Yuffie and Yuna's sphere grids, and I had so many levels, or yeah, not Yuffie, Jesus, Riku, I always do that. I was so close to Riku's sphere grid that I just went in there and I got Use and I got Steal, because I'm like, those are very good things to have. And I also taught Yuna how to steal, which is great. But anyway, for this fight in particular, I was like, let me just try stealing and see what they have. And each of them you can steal level 3 key spheres from. And I remember in an earlier episode, Curtis saying, hey, this is the really hard one to grind. So I was like, oh, this kind of changes stuff. And I just went through the fight. I beat it and I had...
Yeah, I'm mad that I don't have any.
I stole 10. I think like by the end of the fight I had 10 level 3 and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." And I was like, "But hang on a second. Let me find something out." And I just did a little bit of research to see like if I could just keep stealing or something. And then I saw that there's an ability called Master Thief that you can get by going to another area like right outside the Calmlands and just doing a stupid like chocobo mini game basically, and you get like 30 of an item that you can then put on a piece of armor to give you the Master Thief ability, so that you always get like the best possible steal. So I was stealing
really?
So I redid the fight again, and I stole 2 key spheres from both of them as many times as I could. I like cast Reflect on Kimahri as well, so like they weren't doing any damage to me, and I was just like literally just running up to them stealing for like 30 minutes, and then I was like, okay, that's enough, and I ended up with 17.
Oh man.
So in the middle of all of this, I ended up imagining Yuna being taught by Riku how to steal, and they just do this whole little heist in 7-Eleven. Like one of them distracts the clerk.
It's like the shoplifting mini game in Night in the Woods.
I was just gonna say that,
right.
yeah. Yeah, Yuna's stealing a belt buckle from Hot Topic.
For Lulu.
I'll collect some money and get an artist to commission that.
Yo, hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, they're not too bad, I would say. Once one of them's down, the other one will cast Mighty Guard.
Yeah, they have like different things. I think it's pretty much like likely that you're going to take down Yankee first.
Yeah.
And then I think Biran will then cast something that gives him like Berserk and Haste. I forget what the move is, but then he's like doing more damage and going faster. But it's still, by that point, it's like pretty, like this fight's really manageable and not difficult at all.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Now, I mean, they can do quite a bit of damage. So like, you should still at least pay attention to your turn order, because like if you're like less than half HP and they get 2 in a row, they could KO you. But like with decent turn management, it's not bad. They don't really have any like crazy shit that they're gonna throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, I think with my like build for Kimahri at this point was pretty good, where I just used like I had the use move as well, so I used a Chocobo Feather immediately, and then I also had like Reflect that I had learned, cast Reflect on myself. I might have even cast like the one that like prevents you from taking a whole lot of damage. So they weren't really doing a whole lot of damage, and I also used a spear that had alchemy on it, which doubles the like effectiveness of healing items. So I was just throwing Albed potions and getting 2,000.
Yeah, that is a good strat.
I like that throughout the fight, the stance of each of the Ronso are very particular. Like Biran kind of looks like an 80s bodybuilder.
Oh yeah, Jojo.
He's got his like little like speedo on, but he's always kind of flexing, and he got like a really good view of his like because of their high heel, because they're cat, you get like a good view of his butt and like thighs, and but then like Yankee just always looks like he's like surfing a little bit.
Yeah.
Now there definitely are a few good close-ups of was it Biran's like speed? Yeah, like
he's the one who has the kind of crazy like who's the guy, the green guy from
Kermit.
Yeah, Kermit from Street Fighter.
Blanca,
yeah.
Yeah, Blanca,
yeah.
Yeah, but I would say that's about it for this battle, right?
The drops are return spheres and sometimes friend spheres.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
I don't know much about those.
This battle kind of gives us an overview of how Mt Gagazet's going to go. Right? No big surprises. Pretty easy, smooth sailing. Right?
Yeah, like a cool lore-wise battle, but not one that is difficult in any kind of respect. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to really, kind of define our time on Mt Gagazet.
Very fair fight.
This is personal beef. It's just going to be all just like no actual like world-defining stakes or anything.
Yeah, no challenge.
What's nice about that too is that battle isn't like it's something that you have to go through, and they do apparently like that scales it based on Kimahri's level, but it's not too easy. So you can get KO'd, but it's not like 2 hits and they're gone.
It's because you just have one character. I think the managing of it is a lot simpler. It's like more like a Pokemon battle where like you don't have to think about juggling 3 people at once. You don't have to manage a whole team.
Yeah,
but
true.
like it makes it a little easier to kind of wrap your head around how to go about the fight, because you only have one guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know who's going to attack who. You know who's going to have to go next. You can't just switch out.
You remember when like games had lives and like people would call them guys or mans.
Yeah. Yeah, I always called them guys.
Yeah, it was
only got
definitely
one guy
guys.
left.
I'm down to my last guy on Mario, yeah.
I got an extra man.
I think in Zelda 2, when you collect like additional lives, because you can like game over in that in a much different way than the other like Zeldas. Like I'm pretty sure it's just like a little doll of Link that he picks up. I might be wrong about that. I might be misremembering, but it's very weird.
It's on a green mushroom.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the end of that battle. Once it wraps up, you see Biran and Yankee, and they're kind of like standing in their injured poses, I guess. Biran says, "Strong is Kimahri. Biran is happy." And he turns around and says, "Sacred Mt Gagazet, I honor the name of strong warrior who defeats Biran. Remember always, Gagazet, that name is Kimahri." Yankee says, "Mountain knows Kimahri strong. Kimahri may pass."
I do like this a lot. It's just
this is really good.
they're proud of him for they're not like sore losers, just like hell yeah.
They weren't just like Stephen King bullies where they were like the embodiment of evil and just super fucked up and like horrible. They were just like, oh no, this is like our culture. It's very like surrounded by strength, and you know, like that's a whole other thing, I guess. But like in the context of this, it's like that's everything for them, and they don't want to be stronger than Kimahri. They want him to be strong, but the only way that they can really interact with that kind of strength is just like, oh, well, we beat you and you never admitted it. And like, yeah, so it's really cool that they're like, cool, you finally beat us. That's awesome. Now we can be friends.
But yeah, they then kind of, it's pretty cool. They actually say that they're going to stick around at the base of the mountain too while we climb the mountain. They like say that like, we're going to stop any enemies that come after you now. Like if like Yevon is pursuing us, we'll meet them down at the base of the mountain and stop them, which is like fucking tight. Like,
That's so
that.
Cool. I also really like when...
What was the that base defender minigame in Final Fantasy VII?
Fort Condor.
Fort Condor. Yeah, it's like they should have a Fort Condor minigame built in.
That'd be great.
Yeah, kick in that music from that minigame.
I do like the line that they say about this because they're talking about like staying behind. They say, "We crush enemies following behind. Kimahri crushed the enemies standing before." And I'm like, oh, that's
yeah,
sick.
It's so cool. I really like that Biran reaches into his pocket and pulls out the rest of Kimahri's horn and glues it back on for him and says, "There,
just
you true
on.
Ronso now." It's very sweet.
Yeah, it just screws on. They just like, and, like do it on. Yeah.
I was surprised it doesn't grow back, but you know.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking of it as be like Hellboy, where it just kind of.
Yeah, oh hell yeah. Maybe in X2.
I do like that, like they're giving like Yuna commendations as well, and they say that they will shine her statue the brightest. And
very good.
And she's like, that's very nice, but I don't think that anybody's gonna make a statue for somebody like me because she's like a traitor now. And they say,
then Ronso will make.
Oh, that's badass. And if you've played FFX 2, then you know.
Then you know that Kimahri gets his horn back.
But then Yankee says, with grand horn on head. So they're going to make her a statue with a horn.
Yeah, they're going to make her a statue with a horn.
Which they make with Kimahri's old horn.
And then at the end of the scene, Titus has some narration and says, "I wanted to see Yuna's statue too, but I wanted to see it with Yuna by my side." And then that's the end of that
he says,
scene.
with Yuna by my side.
With Yuna
it's true. Yeah, he does. Yeah. I wanted to see it with Yuna by my side.
I think there was a little bit of that as well with Biran and Yankee when they were first talking, like, Summoner may pass, Guardians may pass, Kimahri no pass. It's like the delivery of it's very funny. Like, it's a great moment.
I don't know why they just say, like, hit play instead of, like, fit. I don't know why they have to make it, like, fit into a certain space. Like, if his mouth isn't moving, you can just let it keep playing. Right?
Yeah, you'd think this was 2D animation.
Yeah, this is the first Final Fantasy that has voice acting, so I'm sure they were still kind of trying to work out a lot of the bugs and stuff. And by the time it got to the English localization team, they were probably like, shit, like, this is already complete. We already have all the lines. Like, we need to get ready to ship this. Like, let's just do this. Like, it kind of makes sense, I think.
Yeah, then we're kind of allowed to walk around again, kind of, in the way that, like, we can reach a treasure chest that has 20,000 gil in it, which is sick. That's quite a bit of gil.
Yeah.
Ronso don't use this.
Yeah, and then about 3 fucking steps ahead again, there's another cutscene. And we see Biran standing in like an alcove a little ways away.
Summoner Yuna!
What is it this time?
Which like big mood. But then there's like this very like kind of wild scene where it has the Ronso singing the hymn of the faith, right? And they all like kind of are standing on different like outcroppings and walk up behind us and stuff.
There's one point, I think it's like the second like part of it. It's not the first couple of like notes that they sing, but they say no boo, I think, and I was like, oh my god, are they gonna say no boo Uematsu? Like I was so excited for it. They didn't, but
It would have been a great way to sneak it in.
It's back at Hoagie Fest. But yeah, it's pretty cool though. I actually do like that. But they see us off with that.
I really like that it's just at first just I think Biran and Yankee and then like 3 other Ronso come up, but like when the 3 other Ronso are singing it doesn't kind of sound like, in my opinion, it didn't sound like Ronso singing. It just sounded like like a choir, like a normal choir or whatever. And I was just like, okay. And also just because of how they sing, I couldn't help but think of the fucking Halo theme of just like
but yeah, we're finally allowed to start climbing the fucking mountain, and boys, I hate this climb.
Yeah, it's something.
There's no snowboards.
It's like it feels like it's like 3 steps to a fucking battle. Like,
yeah, it's pretty constant.
Could really go for one of those all bed snowmobiles right now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I was climbing this thing and I was like, God, dude, when's there gonna be a save point? Like, it just goes on and on and on, and like the map is very confusing too. Like it like doubles back on itself several times.
Yeah. At least I thought I was getting lost for a while. I got like, I'm gonna have to like backtrack and go this other way because I was trying to explore some like arm, and I think it turned out to be the right way. But
I think that same thing happened to me.
Yeah, like okay, I'm gonna go straight, but I'm actually gonna take a right first. But I think straight was actually a dead end or something like that. But
I think the way it ends up is like it looks more like explorable than it actually is. Like it looks like there's way more like winding paths, but it's actually just like you just go one direction, and there's every now and then there's like a way that you can go kind of off to a different way, but it's a dead end that has like treasure or something. The difficulty is you're running into encounters so often that like you kind of forget which direction you're going in, and there's no indicator really. Like you have the mini map and stuff so you know like where you are geographically, but you're like, fuck, was I going up or was I going down? Like that happened to me a bunch, and I was like, well, I'm gonna keep going this way, I think.
And the camera kind of changes angles too. It like kind of rotates around you as you go. So like you can't even be like, oh, I was heading toward the camera, because like what toward the camera means is not the same. And like in the mini map, there's like bridges that go over other parts of the path you've been on. So when you're looking at the mini map, you're like, well, I don't know where this is. Like I don't know which area I'm on right now. Like it's kind of upsetting. But like I mean, it's not that bad. It's awkward to navigate.
There are some interesting enemies, though. We've got
There are.
I forgot who the enemy is, but it's basically just Wendigo with 4 arms and he's purple.
Yeah.
MMO, late game Wendigo.
Yeah. I feel like this section of game, all of these random encounters actually do take some strategizing to take care of. Like, you can game over on these random encounters if you're not paying attention. Like, they can fuck you up real bad. Yeah. And those my strategy for those guys, the 4-armed Wendigos or whatever,
they're called the Bashura, which is interesting because I know that like there's like a demon in like Sekiro called the Shura, which is I think it's like that might be like a Japanese kind of cultural thing.
Could be,
but I'm not sure.
There's the Ashura, which I believe is Hindu. I know it has to do with Indian culture.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that here. Shura or Ashura is a Japanese way to call the Buddhism demigod of war Asura. Mm-hmm. So it's like the god of war, I guess.
Boy.
In American culture, you have the Jersey Shura.
Yeah, the god of destruction.
Did that work?
yeah. Stronger than the sin. That's Carl's joke from last year.
Yeah. So I have Titus and Waka with poison touch weapons, and so what I would do is like use Titus, Orin, and Waka, and like get them down in HP as far as I could go as fast as I could, and then once they're under a threshold, they put their dukes up, right? And any attack that you give them, they'll counterattack for just massive damage. So I would try to just poison them, and then like when they put their arms up, they would just take 4,000 damage, and they wouldn't do anything. Like once their arms are up, they don't do anything, so they just sit there and take poison damage, and like after 2 turns, they would die. And I was like, suckers.
That's what you get for not wearing a mask.
There's bombs here, right? Like kind of tough.
Oh yeah, they're
bombs,
spooky.
too.
They're like really evil looking. They're like purple.
They're real
with, like,
cool
blacked
looking.
out eyes.
Oh, that was my favorite version.
Yeah.
They're
really,
so
like,
cool.
The nether bombs.
Yeah. I feel like magic doesn't do that much damage to them either.
I feel like nothing does that much damage to them.
Yeah. I basically like exclusively used Waka and Orin to take them out.
I was trying to use Yuna's stone touch, which did like no damage, like obviously, but like also it just I don't know if they're like immune to stone or it's just a very low chance for them to get stone, but like because it doesn't say immune when you hit them. I think it's just like a very low chance. So I didn't really have too much success with beating these things other than just like tanking the hit of self-destruct or like having Orin throw up guard and then having Yuna attack and then like he gets the self-destruct and it does like 600 damage or something.
It's kind of like me when I have work at 6 a.m. the next day. Very low chance of getting stoned. That's funny because I don't smoke at all. I'm actually immune to it. No.
Just haven't the right strain yet, buddy.
But yeah, they're kind of dangerous though. There's also the little flora. What do you call them? The little mandragora dudes.
Oh yeah, they suck.
I think they're the Grat in this, right?
The Grab?
The Grat.
I'm pretty sure it's Grat, like which is a common name in Final Fantasy games. They don't always look like this, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I might be wrong. I'm trying to pull up the screenshot.
I forget what they do. I think they are susceptible to sleep though, which is good.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not used to being able to put plants to sleep in this game.
Yeah. So it is a Grat. We fought these enemies before, different palette. The real danger with them is I think they like counterattack or they have a certain seed like move that will confuse you. So I saw Yuna confused and I was like, oh god, no.
Everyone's
like
getting
stone
stoned
touch. Oh
tonight.
no.
Yeah, I would say that like, in my opinion, it is just because me, right? Confusion at this point in the game, like with the enemies that we're fighting right here and the amount of damage they do, and the amount of damage that we can do possibly, when I see confuse, it's either the next turn you remedy it and get it off of there, or just use Titus and flee. Like just get out of there. Just write that battle off. Take the next one.
Yeah. I kind of wrote off a lot of these battles because at first I was like, oh, let me try and just capturing with like the stone. I have stone touch on the capture like weapon.
Yeah.
Like I added stone touch to it so that way Yuna can just one shot things and capture them. But I can't. We talked about capture last episode, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Just I was like, I don't know if like that's. I completely forget. But yeah, I was trying to do that, and then it became like way more difficult for most of the enemies. So I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to flee. Although I did realize that like there's one enemy here, I think it's called the Bandersnatch, which is just your typical like quadrupedal, you have to have Titus attack it kind of enemy.
I love that name.
I just started using sleep grenades on them. So when they were asleep, then hitting them with the Yuna, and then I was able to capture them. I'm like, okay, good. I'm done.
All right, that's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Now I will say that there are some interesting rock outcroppings on the way up.
Cairns.
And I think, cairns. And I think that the first one would be a good place to take a break at. Just kind of sit down by it, enjoy its artistic beauty.
Yeah.
And maybe just chill out for the rest of this climb.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
All right.
Feeling pretty good. I can't wait for this good feeling to continue for the rest of the episode.
So we can start right off with this. So those so they're not like, we called them cairns earlier, but I think a cairn is that specifically like rocks stacked on each other? Because this looks a little bit different. I feel like
isn't that like when like
they're fucked up Cairns?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that when like a woman is at Starbucks and complaining that her latte isn't done well enough and yelling at the employees really shittily and asking for the manager?
That's
I
right.
mean, it hits the same way.
This one. So these ones look more like a pile of junk left in the snow. But there's several of these as we climb the mountain, and I really like them lore-wise. I think it's pretty cool. And there's only ever like one sentence given to them. Like you kind of like go up to them, you interact with them, and then you get like one line of dialogue, and then you move on, right? And like that's about it. So with this one, the first one, you walk up to it, you hit the confirm button, and Lulu says,
"These mark the graves of summoners and guardians who failed."
and I was like, ugh, that's brutal. First of all, or second of all, I guess, Lulu, how do you know that? You told me you've never been past the Calmlands.
She's a woman of the world.
I'm guessing the Guardians just walked back down, right? And they're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. It could just be that, like, a summoner died and the rest of the Guardians are just like, well,
Going home.
go home.
I wonder, does this kind of stuff happen on like Mount Fuji or whatever? Like I know in Mount Everest, like, or like really treacherous like mountain climbing things, like like hikers will just like kind of die and just be left there.
Yeah, I can see it happening, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like related to, who knows? But I mean, obviously, I feel like it's a pretty obvious analogy.
So there are things to do on the mountain in a certain order. I'm actually going to hit the other. I think we should hit the other one, the other cairns, and then come back for the other stuff. Even though on your playthrough, you'll kind of hit these in a different order, but just for thematically for the podcast. So the second one says, or when you interact with it, Lulu says, "Summoners that die up here aren't sent to the far plane." And Titus says, "Why not?" And she says, "Who would send them? They die alone."
Metal.
And Titus says, "Oh, so that means," and Lulu continues,
"Many have become fiends, and they may want Yuna's company."
It's like, oh, I want her company. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Titus says, "Well, Yuna will be fine." And Lulu's like, "You're right." And I'm like, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
I think we should just have Guardians also be summoners. Like, I think it's just more reason to like send more summoners at a time instead of just one at a time.
Oh yeah, just have multiples. We just bring Donna
these
with
summoners
us.
need to unionize.
A little bit of training, some entry level summoning or sending.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just so you have another guy left.
We get two more party members, Donna and Bartello.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense that there's only like how summoners split up their pilgrimages. Like, has there been a good like reason why? It's like, wouldn't you think strength in numbers? It's like, sure, we can both, or I guess you can't use like the same.
But the Guardians are proof that we need help getting there.
I'll say,
right?
I can't extrapolate on this very much yet because we'll get there. But I feel like Yevon may have a reason for that we'll find out in like 3 episodes.
Cool. Yeah, because but like the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, why couldn't we just have like 5 Bahamets at once going after Sin? And then I'm like, oh right, because you can only summon one Aeon like at
that's
the
true.
time.
Just summon a whole deck of them.
Yeah, well, you just summon like 2 of them though, right? You just summon Bahamut and Ifrit. Yeah.
I mean, there's like
we were
5.
At home and saw that happen.
There's 5 Aeons. Yeah, just have all 5 of them at once.
Yeah. So yeah, somewhere some other summoner is just like none of their summons work. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Busy tone.
That one line made me think of imagining Mt Gagazet as its own game, but it would be in the form of like a survival horror.
Yeah.
Where you have the fiends as like these spooky monsters that are
Join
after
us.
yeah.
Like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, hell yeah.
Did y'all ever play The Mummy Demastered? I've seen that.
No.
I don't think so.
It's like based on the Mummy franchise, which is a fucking wild thing to come out in the last couple of years. But it's like a 2D. What the hell would you call it? Like, I guess a Metroidvania maybe. But the idea is like when you die in the game, that character and all of the equipment that's on that character stays there and becomes like a zombie, right? And so you start a new character. And you can get to your old character and then kill your old character and take their equipment, right?
That's a good spin.
Pretty sick.
Because I've played enough games
like,
that you usually find your own, character dead and you loot it.
Yeah.
But yeah, never that.
Yeah, and like it'll be able to use the stuff that you like had on you and shit. It's fucking insane.
Oh my gosh.
But like, yeah, you can find like
That's
summoners
Hollow Knight does that a little bit. Like when you die, like you have like your shade or whatever, and you can go and fight it. And then as you get to it, like if you have more health, it takes more hits to kill. And as you get better like moves that you can use, it can also use those moves. But it doesn't sound as like that. It sounds a lot cooler in that Mummy game.
Yeah, which I will say the soundtrack and everything for that game fucking whips. Anyway, I was thinking of that based on like, you know, like summoners die here and then the next summoner would come up, but that summoner is a fiend now, right? Like,
yeah.
fight. Yeah.
That would be sick.
So like, I guess that could be happening. You know, I mean, we may be fighting fiends that were summoners at one point.
I mean, the fiends here are really difficult, so it would kind of make sense that they're like, you know,
could be.
It's this and the other area where they kind of talked about that in like the gorge or whatever that we haven't gone to yet.
You'd think that Bartello would become a Bashura if he died up here, but you would be wrong. He would become a Grat.
He becomes a Tonberry.
Wait, are there Tonberries up here?
No, I don't think so.
I haven't met a Tonberry yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we've seen a Tonberry yet.
Perfect survival horror monster, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Tonberry is a good survival horror monster.
Yeah.
Going back for more olive.
Or it's like an actual mummy, like just like outrun it. It's fine.
Tonberry would be the Tonberry would be like basically your Slender Man.
Yeah,
like following you throughout, but
Slender
you don't
Man.
always see it.
Pyramid Head.
Yeah, Slenderman, Pyramid Head, Tonberry, you know, the horror tropes.
I'll take Tonberry every time in a fight against those.
In Resident Evil 8, the tall lady like reveals that she's actually just a bunch of Tonberry like stacked on top of each other.
Everyone's horny for the Tonberries.
But yeah, so there's one more cairn up by the top. And if you interact with that, Lulu says, all this way only to fail. It must have been tough.
And that, as they say, is that.
But if we go back down the mountain, which don't do that, just get everything on the way. but after that first one, there's a little like side path. Like y'all were mentioning, like there's like little side paths that are all dead ends. We can find the final sphere of Braska, Auron, and Jek's journey.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And this one is called Braska's Sphere.
Yeah. And we see just basically Braska. Oh, no one's holding the camera this time, I don't think, because we see Braska facing the camera up on the peak, I think, facing that first cairn slash.
Yeah.
We see Auron just looking over. And then you see Jek come from off screen wearing no shirt like he always is. But it's just really funny in the middle of like a blizzard.
Yeah, a real sweet message. And Jek is just like dicking around in the background, walking around with like shorts on, no shoes in snow. Like, come on, dude.
I like that, like, you can tell that nobody's holding the camera aside from the fact that like you see all three of them, but the whole thing is like shot at an angle. Like he doesn't have the camera like sitting on an even surface, so everything is like angled.
It's like, this is the best rock I could use as a selfie.
He took the pop socket out of the sphere and dangled it like gently on some rocks, and it was like about to fall at any moment, but he's like, I think it's okay. I just need like 30 seconds. It's fine.
But yeah, and he's speaking to the camera. He says, hello, Yuna. I hope you are well. I wonder how old you are now that you're watching the sphere. You must be very beautiful like your mother. I wish I could see you. Oh, by the way, Jekt and Auron send their regards. And like, again, you see them just like dicking around in the background. Or, like, Oren's not dicking around. He looks like he's like contemplating. He's like lost in thought, looking around off, you know, into the distance. But yeah, Jekt is just like walking
Auron's
around.
Pissing off the cliff. He's pissing into his jug.
I'll need this later. This is a secret tool that will come in handy later.
Chekhov's piss.
This is the same piss that he's drinking, actually. Like, it's been in there for 10 years.
It's aged like fine wine.
Actually, I have such a thing to say about Auron's piss after this scene, too. Anyway, he says, so far, our journey has been very entertaining. Of course, it is a hard journey, but I have no regrets. It's the path I have chosen.
Yuna, when you have grown, you will have to find your own path. Do what you must do, the way you want to do it. Doors will always open themselves to those who do. Listen close, Yuna. Your future is yours to make. Live the way you want to. Whatever way that may be, you have your father's full support. Yuna, I will always be with you.
And I was like, oh, that's very cute.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Oh, that's right. So at this point, Yeah, like for some reason my brain was like, oh yeah, Yuna's totally gonna become a summoner because that's what her father did. But like Broska didn't know that. Broska didn't know Yuna was gonna become a summoner or master summoner and do the same thing. But would she have done it differently if she saw this when she was younger?
Yeah, who knows?
Even though he left it somewhere where like only
only a summoner would see.
Yeah.
Oren could have totally brought it back to her.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectancy here that he just left it on the top of a mountain.
Yeah. I guess
the most
like,
dangerous place in the fucking world, for all we know.
I could see them assuming though that like, okay, once we go up there, Jecht and Oren will come back and collect the sphere or something like that.
Don't forget.
Yeah. Do not forget it. It's very important. And then just like Jecht just goes and becomes Sin. What an asshole! I told you to get the sphere on Gagazet. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I thought you said become Sin. After that, that's all of the spheres. So we get Oren's last overdrive, Tornado.
Hell yeah.
And it rules.
I have not used it yet.
Bro, okay. It does. So it can't break damage limit, but it can do a lot of fucking damage. So like each time I would use it, it hits every enemy on the screen. And for me, it was doing like 8,000 plus damage. It lifts them all up into the air like in a tornado, and when they crash back down onto the ground, it does another 8,000 or so damage. And so I was just like, dude, I'm almost getting like 20k off this fucking limit break to everything.
That's
limit
sick.
break, overdrive, yeah, to everybody. But the reason I wanted to talk about it, right, is a couple of reasons. One is how fucking cool that is. Two is the animation, and three, most importantly, is Oren's piss jug. So,
Lest we forget.
When you select to do this move, I haven't seen this be the case for other overdrives, but as soon as you pick it, everybody else in your party runs off the screen. They like see that he's doing it, and they're like, ooh, and they like get out of the town. There's like, no. And so they'll run away. And then Oren like swings around a couple times and like creates a tornado with his swinging sword, and like this giant tornado kind of like emanates out from him, lifts all the enemies up into the air, and then he throws his jug of piss into the tornado and it explodes. Like it's like a giant fireball. And I was just like, what has Oren been drinking that his piss is so flammable?
Good God, that's awesome.
Flammable shower.
He's drinking that fire water. Man, anyway, that's some powerful pee that man has.
Well, after you said powerful pee, I was thinking about how I have an item for Waka called the pee ball, which is where it's stored, interestingly enough.
So what does that say about Mario's pee wing?
Piss wing. So toward the top of the mountain, like once we get most of the way there is a familiar face there, which I didn't think would be a familiar face until we found some hidden little scenes earlier.
It was a familiar face, but kind of originally a blink and you'll miss it familiar face.
Yeah.
On Thunder Plains, right? He kind of runs by, takes a picture, and runs off.
Yeah. And in the far plane.
Jonah Jameson's like, get me pictures of Yuna.
Have we learned this character's name before?
I don't think so.
I know in the far plane he might have said once at some point.
Yeah, I
don't remember if it was on the text box or not.
I don't think it was, but I could be wrong.
This is the culmination of the that one time on the boat way back at the beginning of the game. I was like, remember this guy. This guy will become important. And this is where he becomes important. But yeah, this is Owaka's younger brother, Wance. Or Wance? Wance.
I think it's Wance. Like Wario.
Like Wawa Gobbler.
I was showing Anna this, and we were like trying to decide what Owaka's accent is. Like, I think they both kind of have like Broadway musical, like they're in like Les Mis, like vaguely English accents.
The master of the house.
Yeah, but once like for some reason like has a very almost Australian kind of, but also Cockney kind of mixed in. It's really funny. Which, by the way, is also another Tom Kenny voice.
Oh wow! I didn't even notice. Also, he's wearing sandals. He's wearing sandals in the snow. What is wrong with everyone?
Look, no one in this world knows how to dress for Mt Gagazet.
Yeah. Mt Gagazet is like a one-off. Yeah,
except for maybe Braska.
No one's acting like it's cold, so maybe it's like not actually snow.
What was
styrofoam?
It's just, I mean, remember what was the mountain in FF7? Like everyone was fucking cold when we were like getting ready to climb that thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There was the mini game of keeping your body heat up.
Where is my mini game for body heat in FF10 where I just like press X over and over and over and Titus does a little jog?
And Orin is the only one with his shoulders covered.
Knowing what we know about Final Fantasy X minigames, I'm glad there's not one of those here.
There should be a Snowkobo, like a winter chocobo.
Oh, that'd be great.
Snowkobo.
Yeah, you can cut him open with a lightsaber and crawl inside him to stay warm.
And I thought it smelled bad on the outside. But yeah, this is Wants. He's up here. And so in my game, she said, we've met several times before, right? Does she always say that, or is that dependent on our actions?
I'm not sure.
She said it in my game as well. And I was like, what? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Titus says not running today, which I guess means like running through Thunder Plains.
I guess so, yeah.
Because last time we saw him, he was just like, gotta go.
Yeah, like they recognize him, but we as the player might not necessarily. Like it took me a minute of being like, wait, who's this guy? I never heard of this guy.
I have to carry on my brother's business. You've met him, I think. Owaka the 23rd, merchant extraordinaire.
Like Titus just says, "You're that guy's brother," and like that guy, love it.
that guy.
But yeah, he tells us that Owaka has been imprisoned by Yevon for helping us, which is like kind of fucked. I actually feel bad for him. Like as much as I hate Owaka, I'm just like, oh, that does kind of suck. Like the one time he does anything good.
Well, by the sounds of it sounds like he could still run the business from inside prison, like a lot of like gangsters can sometimes do.
So here's my question with this. Like, Owaka's committed so many crimes. Like, I don't know if
some against Yevon, some against humanity.
I don't know if we should necessarily feel bad about this, because initially, like, that's definitely how it's like portrayed and everything. But just thinking about it in like the context of the real world and how things have kind of shook out, it's like, I don't think the guy who commits crimes all the time finally getting like his comeuppance should necessarily be on our fault because we gave him money so he would give us like weapons that he stole off of dead people or whatever. Like,
yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
This is when Twitter has said no more.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they finally arrested Rudolph Giuliani for for supporting Trump or something. Like
they also tried to pull a Kelk.
Convenient.
My point is, Owaka deserves to be in prison. Just because it was Yevon who arrested him, it's fine.
But Wants says, yeah, he doesn't regret it, though. In fact, he told me before they took him, don't worry about me. Just go help Lady
he does
Una.
the voice.
That was my Wants impression.
It's good.
But why would your brother do this for us?
Well, hey, this isn't the time for talking. There's dealing to be done. Welcome to Owaka's.
I do like that it's still called Owaka's.
Yeah, even it's Wants.
He's franchising now.
Yeah, he'd have to go through all this paperwork to change the business name.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
To go to Bavel of all places.
Yeah, right? Go to the government building in Bavel to get that done? No way.
So he didn't really, like, there was, like, he sells weapons and items. I don't remember buying anything from him.
I think I got a couple things. Like there was a trident for Kimahri, which has fire strike, lightning strike, and ice strike. I was like, that sounds like it's pretty good. It was only like 6,000 gil. So I was like, yeah, let me try that. There was a shimmering blade, which just had an extra like plus 10 strength for Kimahri. So I was like, or not Kimahri, Auron. So I'm like, fuck yeah, more strength for Auron. And then also I saw this and I was like, I feel like this might be helpful. I don't think I actually bought it, but I was like, this might be pointing me in the direction of something that might be coming up, which is a Blessed Bracer, which has zombie ward on it. And I was like,
yeah,
I should keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
Oh, does he sell holy water?
He does, yeah. So I bought a fuck ton of holy water because I saw holy water and the zombie thing. I'm like, just in case, the holy water's pretty cheap. I'm going to buy as many of them as I can.
Yeah.
The zombie war is obviously for all the zombie summoners.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about zombies the past 2 episodes. I just want to keep that MF going on me just in case.
By this point, I actually taught a Auron zombie attack on his
nice
on his sphere, which is pretty cool. Which I don't know why he would know zombie attack.
Who knows?
It's for attacking zombies, I'm assuming.
So just past him is a save point. And
yeah, you don't need it. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Play a few games of Blitzball.
Yeah,
We can finally
right.
do that. I forgot,
Oh, yeah,
I forgot
yeah.
when we could do that again, but we can play Blitzball again.
There's one more alcove that I think you might have not talked about.
Almost certainly.
So yeah, if you just kind of continue on, and all these little like alcoves, there's like, where we found like the Braska sphere. That's really, really fucking hard to say. Oh my god.
Demons' souls.
Yeah, you can easily see it on the mini map, but it's not always like, it doesn't always really make too much sense how to get to. But if you can get to it, you find it, and there's 2 treasure chests that are hiding, and in one is an HP sphere, and in another there's a level 4 key sphere.
Yeah.
I don't know that I even got those.
I am now at 3 level 4 key spheres, so I'm so close to unlocking Ultima. And with like the return sphere that was dropped, I'm just gonna warp Kamari right back there, get that, and then finally use the black the
black magic
what is it,
sphere.
the black magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that.
That's a good idea. That's a good system you got set up there. I got Copycat with my level 4, and I've never used it still. So
yeah, it seems like it's probably good and probably has some applications, but I'm just like, I'm too tempted by Ultima.
Yeah, it's fair. But yeah, so then we're almost up to the top of the mountain, and
The precipice.
that's about it, right?
Yeah, it'll be nice and
go
breezy.
over the hump and put a quarter in the thing, go see the views, and maybe
That's right.
use the restroom, and then take the cable car all the way back to the bottom.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so once we get up to the next area, it's kind of interesting because like there's like another very short cave, I guess. There's like a tunnel through the mountain a little bit. That's a very short one.
Pops you out on the other side.
Yeah.
The less snowy side, I guess.
Yeah, and like when we pop onto the other side, there's kind of like a flat area that oversees a cliff, right? So we can like look out over this area and like, look on into the distance if we want. A vista. Yeah. And as soon as we get to it, a cutscene begins.
What a cutscene it is.
And what a cutscene it is.
What a beautiful cutscene.
Beautiful day for a cutscene.
I literally was getting ready to say Xanarkin says that is not how that goes.
Oh yeah, Riku says Xanarkin is on the other side, and Titus is like, I know.
And as they say this, everybody else walks off.
Yeah, I love that they're sticking back to scheme.
Yeah, they're just having their little aside to kind of talk and plan without, using the emotional energy of everyone else to do it.
Yeah,
because they're trying to figure out a way to like save Yuna, even though there's really no sign of, I don't know how they can do that. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, like Titus just keeps saying "I know" instead of like "but."
Yeah, like real dejectedly. And I think it's so funny. I was thinking this as this was going on. I'm like, I like how the 2 like dumbest people in the party are the ones who are like trying to figure out this like decades long like mystery of like how can we do this without sacrificing summoners and stuff. And not to say like I don't think Riku is dumb. She's just like the youngest, so she doesn't have as much experience for the world or something, and definitely not as much experience with like Yevon as everyone else. But I just think it's
She's
funny
got
that
street
like
smarts, but not like Yevon smarts.
yeah, exactly. Like
She's definitely optimistic.
Yeah. But I think they kind of call themselves out on that too, where Riku says,
Uni is gonna get the final Aeon,
I know.
I still haven't thought of anything.
Me neither.
What are we gonna do?
We'll do something.
We'll do something.
we just don't know enough yet, which like I saw that. I'm like, I'm glad they're at least self-aware. And he says, until we do, we really can't help Yuna. Let's go to Xanarkand. We'll find something there. It'll all come together. I know it. And Riku, like the camera shifts and shows her, and she has like a cute little animation of putting her hand up to her face, and she says, hey, just now you sounded like a leader, And then Titus, like smug as always, says, star of the Xanarkand Abes. Didn't anyone tell you? And then she like bows to him and stuff. It's like a very cute moment.
He struts by her, right? Yeah. Like he like walks by her while she's bowed.
Yeah.
And so he's like, he's behind her now because he's walked past her. And then when she raises up from bowing, she's looking forward, and her like expression becomes very, very surprised all of a sudden, right? And I was like, haha, because Titus isn't there anymore or whatever. But the camera like turns around to show you what Riku's looking at. Bro.
Oh no.
It's Seymour
dude.
again.
Oh no.
Bro.
Fuck.
Oh no, dude.
Which, like, at this point, I'm like, okay, this asshole, we killed him twice or maybe 3 times. I can't even remember. Let's fucking get this dude. It's no problem. I was like,
what is
whatever.
that meme from SpongeBob? Like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I mean, that is, like, it is very scary, though. I will say, like, the presentation of this is very good.
Yeah, for sure. I think the music here is really cool as well. But yeah, Seymour says
Seymour's theme probably.
Yeah, he says, the son of Jecht. And Titus says, Riku, run ahead and tell Orin. And Riku's like, you're not fighting him alone. I thought this was setting up for a moment where it's just Titus versus Seymour, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a little bit tough. And he says, just go. Seymour says,
now is your time to die. Prepare yourself, son of Jecht.
Not if I can help it.
and then like it shows the rest of our party who are only like a small like distance away, and Kimari's there and he has his like halberd out and he says,
"Save some for Kimari."
And like they all charge in.
That's a good callback.
Yeah, it's really good.
What is the George Lucas quote?
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
But yeah, like Seymour is like, Lady Yuna, it is a pleasure. And Lulu cries out, Yuna. And then Yuna, I think, starts sending.
Yeah, she starts dancing.
Finally, put this guy in his place.
Yuna just starts flossing right there.
And Seymour says, ascending so soon?
Allow me to say something to the last Ronso before I leave.
Yeah, the last Ronso.
Like,
what does that mean?
It's like, wait, what's up? We just saw a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yours was truly a gallant race. They threw themselves at me to bar my path, one after another.
And like, uh-oh.
Yeah, he like raises his hand and like snaps. Like, ugh.
That moment bothers me so much as someone who studied animation, and they didn't correct his sleeve when he raises his arm.
Oh, really? Oh, you're right.
Just like, because he's wearing like a long robe, so it just follows his fist.
So it's just like hanging out.
Yeah, it's like hanging upwards. Yeah.
Gravity is not working the way it should. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just he's so powerful that he's able to do that.
It's fine. It's just the wind.
His robe becomes him.
Yeah. Then there's like just a moment, and like Kamari's like,
no, you could end the suffering of this poor Ronso.
I don't understand you.
Like I get like I see what Seymour's thing is now, you know what I mean? This whole idea of like, no, dying is easier. Like everything should be dead. That way we're no longer caught in the
suffering.
The suffering and everything. But he says
it's like a form of nihilism or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's just like weakly done, I think, with him. But yeah, that is his thing though. He says, allow Kimari to die and release him from his pain. Spira is a land of suffering and sorrow, caught in a spiral of death. To destroy, to heal Spira, I will become Sin. Yes, with your help. Come with me, Yuna. Once I have become the next Sin, your father will be freed again. Which, that I don't know if I like that, because he literally in that line is like, yes, Yuna, and then in the same line changes to talking to Titus.
Yeah.
Where he says, your father will be freed again.
Yeah.
And yeah. Titus just says, what do you know? And then Seymour says, pitiful mortals, and starts to like levitate, and a sick fucking space rib cage pops up behind him.
A fucking Gundam.
a fucking bone Gundam.
Yeah, it's like very, I don't know, aquatic. I don't know, it has a shark like hood ornament on it.
Yeah, I don't know how to make fucking hide nor hair of this.
Because of the ribbing, it looks more like not an anemone, like coral.
Yeah.
Coral.
Yeah.
Here, I'll say the last two lines and then we'll continue on with that. He says, your hope ends here and your meaningless existence with it. And then we get thrown into a battle. But yeah, so this thing is fucking weird looking, like you're saying. It's like a bone Gundam coral skeleton brain.
H.R. Geiger designed like a Robotnik boss.
Yeah, as soon as we start the fight, it goes dun 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 dun.
But it's just like it's covered in like ribs and bones and like crustacean kind of elements and ornate little bits in here. But it has like two like long arms sticking out of it. It's almost like Seymour is piloting it. It's really weird.
It's got a few weird pieces to it. So like there are little not tassels, or like it's something made of cloth that's hanging from the front of the cage, and it just looks like it's just tagged on there.
Yeah.
Same thing for like this glowing ball that's in the middle of the cage.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make sense of like what it is, which is thematically good, I guess, because like this is like a Lovecraftian horror, so it should not make any sense. It's very like Evangelion. It's super Final Fantasy. Like half of it kind of looks like it would be like a weapon from Final Fantasy VII, and then like also has a bunch of like bones that are like made of stone with like runes all over it, just like protruding out of it all over the place.
Importantly, the structure has these like two big arms that come off of it, but those are not Seymour's arms, I think, because you can see Seymour looking like he did the last time we fought him, like riding in it. And like Seymour is holding a giant fucking spear that like shoots way out. Like it's a big spear, like comparatively.
Y'all notice the shark head on the top of it, right? Just above Seymour's head?
Yeah.
There's like a shark head.
Oh, yeah.
And on that shark head, on the sides of it, are two giant fucking swords. Like
They look
Gundam-sized swords.
Badass swords, too.
They do.
You don't want to be on the receiving end of those fucking swords.
This is a wild looking boss, man. It is nuts.
Yeah.
My memory isn't too great, and I know this isn't the same game, but 10-2.
Yes.
There are, I forget what it's called, but there's a battle mechanic that also had like your three characters, so Riku and Pain, also have like these weird vehicles that you can use.
Yes.
And they remind me of Seymour's forms.
Yeah, especially Pain's kind of reminds me of that. I remember Yuna's was called Floral Falal.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
That sounds like a really delicious thing that you would get from like a food cart.
It's rosemary flavored.
Floral halal, yeah. But yeah, so this is Seymour Flux.
The Seymour fucks.
New Seymour just dropped.
Yeah, this one's a challenge.
The second reason I chose this chapter was because this is one of the few cases in which you hear I think the track is called Challenge.
Oh yeah, it's the one we fought when we were fighting with Seymour.
Yeah.
I think at Project Mihan, which I know you were saying on the Switch sounds really annoying because you don't really hear like the cool like bass part. It's just
The bass and the
little
guitar.
arcade noises.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original version's definitely better to me. It has like a sort of alien sound to it.
Yeah, it does sound very weird. Like I feel like
it has that Seymour swagger beat.
Yeah. I feel like that's very indicative of like Masashi Hamauzu's pieces. Like how like we can kind of hear sometimes when like, oh, that one sounds Nobuo or this one sounds Masashi, right? Like I feel like Masashi's stuff is more angular and weird. Like I feel like he comes from a background of enjoying synths in a way that Nobuo likes like classical pieces, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like an atmospheric song, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't have much melody to it.
Right.
It really sets the tone for this fight, too. It's really good.
So, out of the gate for the fight, too, we have, again, the ability to talk to Seymour, just like we have for the last 2 times we fought him. And this time, I saw that Kimari and Yuna have talking trigger commands, right? I think that they're the only 2.
I think it's just the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just them.
If you do it with Yuna, Seymour says,
"Do you not want to heal Spira's sorrow? Let death carry you off into peaceful slumber."
And Yuna just says, "You can't run from your fate." And I was like, ugh, Yuna.
Yeah. If you talk with Kimari, he says, "You have angered Kimari. The spirits of the Ranso will guide Kimari's spear." And then he gets a strength increase.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So then we're prepped and set for a nice walk in the park. So this is like the fight that people have told me have made them quit playing Final Fantasy X before.
Yeah, it makes sense.
This is the calm lands for players.
Yeah.
Not many have made it past this.
That's right. And it is a bit tough. I got it on my 3rd try this time.
My housemates are in that same boat where they're like, I don't think I've ever made it past this part, and like
Really?
they were all very enraptured in watching me try to beat it.
Really?
Because everyone was very invested.
Yeah,
So I had my
hell
whole
yeah.
house watching me play it. But every time you lose, of course, you have to watch that entire
Oh my
cutscene again.
god, yeah.
Yep. Notably with this too, in some cutscenes you're able to kind of mash through dialogue, so you only hear like the first part of like a sentence, and then it kind of goes through a lot faster. In this, I was doing that, and I didn't even realize that it was doing nothing for most of it. Like I think there are some points.
It only really works with like the Titus and Riku bits in the beginning, and then the rest of it is very
and then it's just like, well, sitting here for 5 minutes.
I think it's because it's bound to like certain like animation sequences or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I've noticed that like the times when I can skip the dialogue is when there is not a lot of like theatrics and motion to the characters themselves. Like when they're just standing talking at each other, like the timing isn't tied to the voice. It seems like you can skip it then.
Yeah.
But this battle, I think, so here's, without getting into the details of it yet, what I think makes this battle so difficult is that I think the rules of it are a little inscrutable. Where like, all the bosses that we fought in Final Fantasy X kind of have their thing that they do. Like Defender X is just constant attack, and he's constantly beating you up, and like that's the challenge, right? And then like other ones will be like, oh, well, if you attack it during this phase, you can't hurt it or whatever. Like there's rules and reasoning to each one. And I think the thing about this fight for me is that it doesn't clearly define the rules in a way that's fine. I'm not like trying to say it's a bad thing in this case, because it's Seymour. It's a big fight. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be a challenge. But the rules of the fight change as it goes on, and there's not a clear delineation when those rules change. I think it's probably like HP thresholds, but like his actions that he uses are different depending on where you are in the fight. And so like it's a little tough, because like you'll learn kind of how to do a section and then get obliterated by the next section because it changes. And then you'll learn how to do that section and get obliterated by the next one.
Yeah, so I think the reason that this fight is as difficult as it is just because it's a lot of trial and error, and it's also gated behind a super long cutscene. Well, and like arguably like one of the better cutscenes in FF10 too. Like this is a really cool scene. Like just how like no emotion Seymour has to just be like, hey, I just killed every fucking Ronso. Like that's huge. Like I like was pretty jaw dropped by that. I was like, oh holy shit. Like he's like, shit just got fucking real. But like after like the third time of having to go through it, I'm just like, like it sucks, because it's like it's such a big it's like I just wish like I can't believe that they just put this difficult like this big of a difficult fight where it's basically like you will not first try this behind like such a long scene, instead of just being like, which in certain other parts weren't there like we were about to start a fight or something, and it's like, do you want to save?
Yeah,
just give us that option before the fight. So then
Mm.
we just boot up into the game again and we get to fight instead of having to watch all of that again.
Yeah,
I think it's that they wanted to give you like an opportunity to grind before this fight,
Sure,
so you can
yeah.
go to if they gave you like a moment to like walk away from the fight and save again, like it would be cool.
Yeah, like they did in Bavelle when we were able to.
Yeah, like they gave it with the way easier Seymour fight, where it's like Kimari's holding him off. We can go grind for levels if we
Grind
want
our way
to,
there.
or just save and then do the fight after the cutscene. Like, I don't know, not a great choice, in my opinion.
I agree with you there.
Do we want to talk about the funky mechanics?
Yeah. So
okay, so the first gimmick I noticed is Seymour takes out, or I guess whatever he's driving, pulls out this thing called it's basically called Spear of Atrophy.
Yeah,
That's right. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, isn't
Lance of-
this the same thing that was growing on him in the last battle?
Maybe it is. Yeah, there's another targetable like Mortabody type thing.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know what's called in
Mortabody, and
one.
this one's called
It was
the
Mortabody and-
Mortiorchis.
Yeah,
it's a
something
different
I don't
name.
know how to pronounce it, but yeah.
Mortaga. But Lance of
I
Atrophy.
just call it Mortaga. That's really good. I'm sorry. I wanted to point that out real quick.
But so what it does, which this extra sucks if the speed, because if you look at the order, if the boss has 2 moves in a row, it will use Lance of Atrophy, which casts Zombie. It basically zombifies any of your characters, and then immediately cast Full Life, which will just do instant death because you're now a zombie type enemy.
He basically does the what was the fucking flying snake outside of Bavelle?
Oh, Evray.
Yeah, the zombie Evray or whatever. It basically does that to us.
But thankfully, I had Riku with like a self-aid accessory, so she immediately uses Remedy and doesn't have. She's not been zombified the entire time I've tried all the times I've tried this fight.
Oh, nice.
Because she immediately just auto counters with like whatever item she needs to be unzombied.
Yeah.
But what's unfortunate is that the full life doesn't actually work if you are hurt. It won't actually heal you.
Yeah.
It make this fight a lot more, I think, fun because you can kind of trick him into healing you.
I had a similar thought about that where I was like, maybe I can use this to my advantage. I was like, maybe I can just zombify Seymour somehow using like, and then I checked like the sphere grid. I was like, I know Arin has zombie attack and I'm still like several levels away from it. I'm like, not worth grinding for it. And then I like,
he technically is a zombie though.
I know. I mean, like, technically, yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I got all these holy waters. Let me try and customize a little bit. And I saw that I could set zombie touch to one of my weapons for like 60 holy waters or something. So I was like, yeah, let me do that. That's, you know, they've been saying like zombification. They've been saying like, here's holy waters, like right before this. I'm like, let's fucking do this. And like, that was like my second try through. I'm like, I think I got it. And then I went and hit him with it and it was just like immune. I was like, well, fuck, man.
And Demi doesn't work, of course, so I couldn't use my shadow gems or whatever.
So, full life, the thing about that is it is not a healing spell, it's a revival spell.
Yeah,
so,
it's a full revive
so
spell,
Yeah, so it won't do anything for a living.
I'm wondering if you could somehow, like...
kill your party member, and then... you probably could.
I don't know if you can do that just because I think they always will attack simultaneously. So it's always going to be like because the first thing I did was cast
so that's
haste.
not quite true though. You can kind of separate them up.
Yeah, there are certain points where it wasn't, but in my experience with it, I was like, it's not even really worth doing that, and I came up with a different strategy for it later on.
Mm. So my thing was like I noticed if everybody has buffs, Seymour will take a turn to dispel everybody, and that will get him off of the atrophy and then immediately using full life. So like you can out of the gate use Titus to use Haste Saga on everybody, get a couple turns off, and then Seymour will waste his first turn not using the lance, and then he'll be like offset on that, so he can't do the two at the same time.
I don't know if that's always the case.
It may not be.
He is also susceptible to silence, so you can actually keep him from dispelling magic if you use silence on him.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I would use Haste Aga, and it wasn't until like I would throw like I was like, okay, I had the planning stage or whatever. I'm gonna cast like Protect. I'm gonna cast Reflect. I had like multiple characters who could do all of that with either use and the items that I had. So I like had everyone buffed up, and then Seymour was just like Dispel. I was like, shit.
Yeah, and you're right. He doesn't use it like automatically every time. Like,
yeah,
I think there might be like a roll. You know what I mean? And then he might dispel you that turn. But yeah, with if you're spending a long time in this section, then more than likely eventually he'll get off of that immediately atrophying somebody and then immediately using full life on them.
Yeah.
At least that was my experience. So results may differ on this one.
Have you gotten past this, Ollie?
It's been years, so I don't remember my tactics, but I did get past it.
Okay.
But I did also struggle. So this was not the one that made me give up.
Oh yeah.
That is why you are strong.
I will also have a large horn.
I'm gonna polish Ollie's statue the most.
My.
Carl, you were telling me that you enjoyed cross cleave quite a bit. Is that right?
Yeah. So we were kind of talking about it when I was going through and doing the fight, and Curtis was like, "What's the name of the one attack? Total Annihilation."
Total Annihilation. Yeah.
Curtis was like, I think I sent to like our like chat. I sent like 2 times fuck this fight or something, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't clarify. I died 2 times. I game over 2 times. Fuck this fight. and then Curtis was like, oh, are you getting hit with Total Annihilation? And I was like, dude, I'm not even getting past fucking cross cleave. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I was like, I didn't even see Total Annihilation yet. I don't know what that is, and I was able to get I say that like it's an accomplishment. I was able to get a game over to Total Annihilation though. But yeah, I don't really know the flags of when things happen. I think like Curtis was saying, it's like HP values of Seymour or something, but
I think when it's below like 1/2 or 1/3, it will start doing total annihilation.
Yeah. So
I think is what it works.
That sounds about right. I kind of vaguely remember that actually.
Yeah.
That's
So
how you know you're getting close.
So before I even got there, he would use cross cleave, which like no matter what
Looks
I did, I would
cool
deal
as
some damage
fuck.
or something. It's super cool.
It's a long attack.
Yeah, he takes out those two swords, like unsheathes them like the giant fucking Gundam thing, and then like flips, like does a fucking barrel roll and like goes into you and like cuts down your whole party. And I usually would have like, I think it was each time this happened to me, I think Kimari was the one who survived it, and then immediately after that there was just another turn that Seymour Flux had where he used the lance and like didn't even get to zombify Kimari because like just the damage from the lance fucking killed Kimari, and I was just like,
oh no,
fuck, dude.
I will say one way I was able to get him to waste a lot of turns this time is the Morta body or the Morta Chortus or what the fuck ever it's called this time.
Yeah, the Morta Chungus, I believe.
It does take a lot of damage from magic, so Lulu can like fuck it up quick.
It only has 4,000 HP.
Yeah, and it also just like the last time, as you defeat it, its max HP is lowered, so it goes from 4,000 to like 2,000 to 1,000.
Yeah. I'll read the scan that I had because I knew a boss fight was coming, and I knew like just from everyone talking about Gagazet and like this part specifically, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be the big one. So I just equipped everyone with like the best weapon that they have, and I didn't even bother with like a scope thing. But Kimari had scan, so I used scan on both Seymour and on Morty or Mortichungus, whatever the fuck it's called.
Rick and Morty.
Pickle Morty. Yeah, Pickle Morty. And it says, beware its combo attack. If a character is zombified by Seymour's Lance of Atrophy, it will cast full life, causing an instant KO. Use Protect to help survive the cross cleave, which is a good strategy, right? Except I did that and still fucking died.
Oh, really?
I had Protect on everyone, and it was before Seymour even did a Dispel, and they still fucking died. And I was like, well,
wow,
that's not good.
False advertisement.
So I had Orin in maybe the entire time, like pretty much, and he was able to tank a cross cleave. So like I did use 2 Mega Phoenix during this, because like everybody would die, but Orin would be all right, and then he would just use Mega Phoenix, and everybody would get back up, and I'd be like, oh, here we go. So that's how I was able to get through it. So even though that did happen to me where characters would die, I found, at least for me, Orin consistently had enough to tank it and still have over like 1,000 HP left.
Well, how do you deal with total annihilation though?
That one I did. So total annihilation, right? Okay. So once we get Seymour down to a low amount of health, the Rick and Mortis will start flashing, and it'll say like, oh, he's getting ready for an attack. And then after 2 turns, he'll use total annihilation. What's funny is if you don't kill him after that still, it only takes 1 turn of charging for total annihilation from then on. So you really get on the fucking back foot if you don't hurry up and take him out. But total annihilation looks badass because like this is a big, like, we keep calling it a Gundam, you know what I mean? Even though it's like very like fleshy and made of like bones and scrolls and shit.
It's more of an Ava unit or an angel.
Yeah. Except for the fact that total annihilation literally is missiles. Like he has a bunch of fucking like Machina robot ass missiles that he farts out. And I was just like, what? And it just like, it just wrecks your fucking party, dude. He sends out like fucking 15 of them.
Yeah, it doesn't do too much damage per missile, but there's a lot of them. So I saw it and it was like 500 damage or something. I'm like, okay, I can
it was
skirt
doing like
by
800 to me each time. I was like,
at least one of my characters will survive it, because I think I had like everything up, like whatever spells that didn't get dispelled, or like, you know, put Protect up or whatever, and it was like it wasn't doing a whole lot, but it still was enough to just completely fucking decimate my team. And I'm like, well, fuck, what do I do?
Yeah, that's what I was
like one of those moves that if it were a later game, it would have like, what is it? Triggers, like the sort of thing that it gives you a cue on what button to press.
Yeah,
almost like a dance.
Like a quick time event.
Yeah, like a quick time event.
Quick time, there you go.
Raiden would just like hop along them and slice the thing in half with like one swipe. Mega Rising.
Oh hell yeah!
God, yes.
But yeah, like even at full HP, dude, that attack would take me out. And we were discussing it in the Discord, and eventually I was just like, well, I guess I'll just cast like Shell. Like a Protect and Shell or whatever, and that was enough to just have Orin live with like a couple hundred HP left. And I was like, oh, But at that point, like Seymour had like just over 10,000 HP, so I was able to like pretty easily Mega Phoenix, get Orin hasted, and then just have him attack like twice, because he was doing like 6,000 damage. Which I should say that you can use Orin's break spells on Seymour to have him take more damage.
Oh, really? That's good. There's an item that you can steal. I think it's a rare steal, so I was able to get it with Master Thief, but from some of like the Machina enemies leading up to here, I think they're called frag grenades or something, where it's like it does some damage like a normal grenade would, but it also breaks armor.
Oh, okay.
So that's another thing that you can probably use on Seymour. I didn't end up using that. The strat that I kind of like fell ass backwards into. I was like, oh, I can't believe that worked, but that's cool. But yeah, I think I for some reason I thought that I saw somewhere like in the scan or something that he was immune to like the armor break, or maybe I like used armor break and it did work. I was kind of just like trying shit and being like, oh, just try and do something.
Yeah,
so like,
oh, you know what? Let me tell you what I did my first time actually. So I thought I was gonna be smart. I was like, I'm smarter than this game. I'm gonna fuck this game up. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait until he's getting ready to use Total Annihilation. And then I'll pull out Bahamut and just have Bahamut eat a Total Annihilation. No problem, right? And so that's what I did the first time. But Seymour will just use Banish and then the next turn cast Total Annihilation. So he'll just Banish, Total Annihilation, back to back. And I was like, what?
That is one of the few things I actually kind of liked about Seymour, even though I technically hated his character. But I love the one line whenever you bring out an Aeon and he just says,
"Death awaits you."
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
really yeah. So that actually goes into what my strategy ended up becoming, where I had like the first time I went through, I realized that I wasn't really doing too much damage, and he has 70,000 hit points, like which I also got from scan, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to do a lot of damage. I gotta send out Bahamut. Yuna had a overdrive, so it was just immediately I was able to use Mega Flare, and it did like 23,000, and I was like, cool. And that's when I started getting hit with like the big shit, like the cross cleave or like whatever, because it hits all enemies. So I was like, oh shit, like this is gonna be tough. So what I ended up doing on my third try was like I summoned Bahamut, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna boost him so he does more damage, and then I'm gonna use him. And I used boost and then immediately got banished, and I was like, oh shit. But it was still at the higher HP range, so I was like, okay, that's fine, that's not a big deal. I'll just focus on only Seymour. And I was doing enough damage to because like my mentality with it was every time before when I failed, I hit both of them and killed like Mordechungus. And I was like, okay, if they're both killed, I'm fucked, because they're going to start doing that crazy shit that I just can't live through. I was like, so now I have an idea. And what I would do is anytime, like everyone had haste, and I put reflect on whoever was zombified. So anytime I just left Titus as zombie, and then they would do full life, and it would just cast back and do nothing. So like Titus was still alive, but that kind of became the main focus of Mordechungus. And then I just kept dealing damage as much as I could, and like got him all the way whittled down. And every time he was getting ready to do like a big attack or any attack, I just took out a summon and had it use its attack and deal some damage, and they get banished, and then I was right back to my turn, like without having to deal with anything.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I just did that over and over again. I think all of my summons ended up like being banished except for like maybe 2, and I got them down to like 6,000 or 2,000 HP or something, and I'm like, yes, I can have Kimari deliver the final blow. And I brought Kimari in, and Kimari had his spear ready with like as much strength as possible, and he ran up and did it, and he did 500 damage, and I was like, okay, fuck this, that's worth it, like thematically, but not worth it enough. So I just hit him with Titus and killed him, and I was just like, done, I did it.
So there's another like thing that he does during this battle too that we haven't even touched on. Like there's so much in this battle, like there's so many things that Seymour does,
phases,
but one of them is he'll cast reflect on himself, right? So you can no longer cast magic on him, and then he casts flare on himself, and it reflects to you, which does more damage that way. So he can do like basically at that point it's like essentially a one-hit KO. Like he's just going to take out whoever it bounces to. But I do like that you can dispel his reflect, and then he'll just use it on himself and do like 2,000 damage to himself.
That's the other thing that I was doing as well to deal damage. Anytime he did reflect, I'm like, fuck you. Like, you don't get to use dispel on me when I use reflect. Like, I'm going to do that shit too. So I had Yuna use dispel on him, and then I also I also had Lulu cast Bio, which he's susceptible to. But weirdly, in this fight, I feel like Bio works a way that it doesn't usually. Like, it didn't do a percentage. It only did 1,400.
Yeah, so okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so I think we've gotten kind of through the basics of this fight, right? Like, we've kind of discussed,
Well, I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Did you have access to Reflect as a spell?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would happen if you also cast Reflect on yourself and he was reflected and cast Flare?
In this game, it only does one. It only does one Reflect. Yeah.
I know in earlier games it could like basically
FF1 it would
Yeah.
soft lock the game. Yeah, so that's like, I feel like we've discussed the right way. Now let's discuss the even more right way.
Oh yeah.
So there's two real good strats. So I think that the surefire way, I'll do mine first, then Alex can do his. I would say that to me the surefire way to just get it done is to come in with Lulu with a overdrive, and then use Fury, Bio, and just keep casting Bio over and over, and it will give him poison, and then every turn he just takes quad 9 damage of poison, and poison doesn't tick him over to the next phase, so he just remains in his Lance of
Holy
Atrophy
shit.
zombie phase the whole time. So he never ends up using like Total Annihilation or anything. So you just do that, and then you just start blocking, and you just wait. And eventually, after enough turns, he just
that's
dies.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Which, by the way, works on like almost every boss from here on.
I knew he was susceptible to poison, but I never know that like you can make it quad 9.
That was like one of the first things I tried. I'm like, okay, he's susceptible to poison, and I had Fury with Lulu, but I was like, okay, I don't want to use this because I don't want to. At that point, I was like, I don't want to even touch Mortichungus because in my brain, it was just like that's how the shit gets real, and I don't want to fucking.
Yeah, I don't think it's quad 9 in this. I think it's like 4,000 or something. But the point is like, poison can do quad 9 depending on how much HP the enemy has, and it does fucking more than enough.
Oh boy.
I might actually go back and do this fight that way and just like use everyone in a way so that they all get experience, and also like steal from him as much as I can. Just steal as much as I can.
All right, so I'm interested in hearing about Alex's strategy.
So I tried this like 3 or 4 times and I was just getting tired. But I discovered a new way that I think is going to break the game for me for the rest of the game. So remember back at the Calmlands, we get our Chocobo, and to the right of where we came into Calmlands, there's like one of those worm on a string things that allows you
the Chocobo feather, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Chocobo feather. It looks like a worm on a string.
Yeah, it does.
But so that brings us to a area which we'll talk about later, but it's basically another temple. Under that, there is basically a Chocobo racing minigame where you race another Chocobo, and there's a specific way to do this race that will reward you 20 wings to discovery, which basically there's a certain combination that of rewards you, like depending on how many chests you get, how many pulls you get, they're like penalties and or rewards. But if you get 3 chests and no pulls, you'll get 20 or 30 wings to discovery. So I went all the way back up, made sure Riku had her overdrive ready, and so when we go into this fight, I had Riku immediately use Mix and 2 wings to discovery, which casts trio of quad 9s, which means every single character for every single move, as long as they're alive, will do quad 9 damage for every single attack and every single hit.
Holy shit.
Which is ridiculous. It's I think you can probably just farm that for like the rest of the game if you wanted, but Seymour still was able to kill a few of my guys, and like I got pretty far in the fight where I had because I was still kind of figuring out what trio of 99 did. For a while I thought like, oh yeah, I'll just get 3 hits of quad 9. There's no way it's any more broken than that. No, it's as long as your character is alive, they will do quad 9.
That's like,
if Yuna has this enabled on her, she will also heal for quad 9 damage. Yeah. It works both ways.
That's like better than all lucky 7s. Holy shit.
Yeah, seriously.
So I did a heal. I'm like, oh wait, I forgot Yuna lived this far into the fight. So I thought it was just Orin for a while because I was making sure Orin was surviving. But miraculously, Yuna survived like total annihilation, so she was able to land like a huge hit and just like take him out. But I think the better way to do this is if you have Riku and use a a fire gem, which
that's right.
I think you do like 4 or 5 hits of quad 9 damage that way.
Oh, holy shit.
And so if you just like save up a bunch of like multiple attacks that do multiple hits of any way, like whether it's like Lulu's Fury or whatever, slice and dice from like Titus, you can probably like you can stack up a lot of quad 9s.
So I know the only quad 9s that I got in this fight was with Titus when I used his overdrive, and I was only focusing on Seymour and not even worrying about the other thing. And I just did like the hits one enemy limit break or overdrive. And did quad 9 damage to him, and I was like, "Yo, shit, that's awesome!" I felt cool doing that. Now I'm hearing like, "Oh, that's like a baby's challenge."
No.
1 quad 9. I do want to say that that mini game that Alex was talking about with the Chocobo, that's also how I got Master Thief, because if you do that and open 4 chests and make it to the end without hitting any poles, that's how you get 30, I think they're called pendulums, and then you can just put those pendulums into Master Thief. Hopefully they don't have any other important uses that I'll need down the road, but I'm like, this sounds good to me. I'm going to use this right now.
Yeah, it's weird that like, I still have like 18 of these wings left. I could just fuck up every
yeah, that's awesome. Holy shit.
Most boss fights for the rest of the game.
And that's Seymour Flux. What a piece
Get
of
him
shit.
out of here. Yeah, and Titus says, and stay up there.
No, when you beat him, Titus says, and stay up there, because you see his like fireflies going off. That's so good.
It's like Team Rocket blasting off again.
What a fucking fight. You know what? Like, I'm hoping we didn't forget any fucking like attacks or things that he does, because it's ridiculous.
I'm sure we
There's so
probably
much to this
did.
fight.
He's pretty loaded.
Yeah. He's loaded.
He drops a level 4 key sphere, so that puts me at 3.
Oh, so you can get Ultima now. As
No,
Kamari.
I think I only have 3. Oh, maybe I can. I got to look at I think I need 4.
I think there was 4 in a circle, but you can go 3 either way.
I will. I will let you know next week, because I'm pretty sure I can. I think you're right. Holy shit!
So after the fight, Titus does say, and stay up there. And then Yuna turns around and, quoting Seymour from a second ago, she says,
"He will become sin with my help."
Lies. Forget them.
And I was like, Orin, you son of a bitch. And then she says, if he becomes sin, Sir Jecht will be saved. And Orin just says, we're leaving. Like, Orin clearly does not want to talk about this. Like, there is something going on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, she calls him out on it.
Yeah. She says, you know something, tell me. And he just stands there and doesn't say anything.
He does the Orin thing of not talking.
Yeah, and then there's like an awkward silence, and
then she turns to Titus, like, tell me.
Yep. And he says, sin is my old man. And then Walker runs up and he goes, did you hit your head?
You hit your head?
Titus says,
sin is my old man. My old man became sin. I don't know how or why he did it. I felt him inside. And when I did, I knew it was true.
I am become Jecht, bringer of sin.
My old man is spear is suffering. Sorry. And I do like that Alex said this to the chat. He was like, yo, Titus says my old man like 5 times in a row. And like, he sure fucking does.
Yeah.
You never learn the word dad, I think, is just the thing.
I know.
It's like, how many times did they say it? Like, my old man, he became sin. My big guy. My mom's guy.
My large fella. My mom's guy.
There might have been a point where Titus said father, because that's like the title of like the one guy or something. I kind of want to just take him saying father and replace every time he says my old man with just old man with just father.
Sin is my father. My father became sin.
You hit your head.
And Yuna, I feel like Yuna just accepts it. She's just like, oh, okay. And she says, even knowing that sin is your father, still, you know that I must. And Titus says, I know, let's get him. I think my old man would want that. My old man. Lulu says, you'd fight your own father? And I like that Titus says, oh yeah, no problem there.
Yeah, he's probably sock him one, remember?
Yeah.
This is essentially just the movie Hot Rod, where the premise of it is Andy Samberg hates his stepdad, and his stepdad's always like a jerk to him. So he like wants to kick his ass and is always trying to, but never can. And then his stepdad gets like a terminal like disease and needs like a life-saving surgery. And Andy Samberg's like, okay, I'm going to raise enough money so that I can get you this life-saving surgery. So then I can kick your fucking ass.
Walker comes in and says,
about your old man. You sure this ain't some kind of bad toxin dream or something? Then, Chapu.
And I was like, oh, that does kind of suck if you think about it that way. It's like, yo, your dad killed my brother. Like, yeah, Walker even says, I think I'll just pretend I didn't hear nothing. I'm a little confused, yeah. Why did this all have to happen?
Waka, sorry, not to just like, it's very sad, I understand. It's like, that's a big moment of time. Sin's killed a whole lot more people than fucking just Chapu.
Oh, I know,
like,
I know.
He annihilated all of the fucking Operation Mian. Like,
well, I guess
he
like,
killed.
It's the thing of like,
yeah, it hits close to home. I get it.
Yeah, it's less like, oh, he killed my brother, and more like my brother was killed by your dad. Like, because now he has like a very like singular point he can point to and be like, oh, it's not just Sin, some giant fucking kaiju. It's your dad. Like, your dad killed my brother and everybody I care about.
When has Waka ever had information that kind of points the blame at someone, sort of, and has taken it too far, you know?
Right. And then, after Waka says, why did all this have to happen? Orin just says, we'll learn when we arrive soon. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But then we're allowed to walk off, and there is, thank God, a save point on the next screen.
There's also a chest right before it. It's easy to miss.
Indeed. With the Jupiter crest.
Oh, I did not get that. I need to get that.
I thought it was a Saturn crest.
It's always different in whatever versions.
Yeah. It's crest toothpaste. It's different every time.
Have you ever had any of those moments where you finish a very difficult boss fight and you know there's a save point coming somewhere, but you have to like hustle towards it? Because in my case, there have been a couple times where all of a sudden the game just crashes for no reason. Or the power goes out.
After you've done something like monumental, it is usually just like save now. Like, who knows what could happen? What was I doing? Oh, it was when I was like really into Tekken or whatever. Like when I thought I had the time to become a competitor. My cat like tried to get on the PC, like get up on the desk by stepping on the PC. Yeah, shrimps. And he just stepped on the power button so long that it hard powered off my computer as I was in the middle of the fight. And I was like, I'm going to be punished for rage quitting.
Shrimps knew what he was doing.
That motherfucker. Well, thank God we've seen the last of Seymour.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, Titus did say stay up there, so it's fine.
I mean, he'll do it, right? He's compliant.
I feel like, okay, this is going to be a little rude, and we're going to get tweets at us after this. I'm about to ruin all of our life. We're going to get canceled for this one, boys.
Tweet directly at Curtis, not the Every FNF account.
I think with this fight, I'm beginning to have a little bit of doubt about Yuna's readiness because she has had multiple opportunities to send this motherfucker. And I guess she just forgot again.
I mean, I think that's fair, I guess.
She forgets when she gets nervous.
She just got the bloodthirst in her is just taking control. And she's like, yes, I fucking killed him. I don't have to do anything else.
It's a big send.
Sending is very yesterday. Today is all about stone touch.
So yeah, I have a hot take about this boss fight, by the way.
I have written down on a piece of paper what I think your hot take is. So I'm interested to hear it, and we'll see. I have it. I'm going to keep it here, and I'll show the camera once
I'm
you
going to say it, and then after I say it, you can flip it. Yeah. Okay. I think this boss fight's pretty good. That's my hot take.
Why?
Because I think I have the benefit.
It's comfy and easy to wear.
Yeah. I have the benefit of having like all the surrounding of it, of people being like, oh, that fight, you know, like I kind of knew what I was getting into a little bit, and I was expecting so much work. Or like so much worse. I was expecting way more of like a optional boss weapons thing.
Sure.
Like in my second game over, I was like, fuck this fight. This is fucking stupid. This cutscene's stupid. I summoned Bahamut and was getting in my final one and was getting ready to use him and didn't get to. So I missed out on like 23,000 damage and was still able to like get through it just by being like, okay, well, I tried this and I lost to it. It sucks that it's a trial and error and you get a game over and you have to watch the cutscene again. But for me, it wasn't too much trial and error of just being like, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Again, I came at it at a different thing than if I was playing this when I first played Final Fantasy X and got to this point. I would probably hate it because it wasn't as easy to find strats back then and all that. But like, I was able to
Well,
figure it
I
out
feel
without
like-
actually having to look at a strat. So I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? This fight's pretty good. It's definitely not fair. It definitely changes the rules of the game a little bit in a lot of ways. And I totally understand that people are like, fuck this fight. But I was kind of like, I was expecting a lot worse. So I think it's pretty good.
Okay, well, I got my reasoning wrong, but my first words are, it's good, actually.
Yeah, that's
is what I wrote
essentially the same as it's pretty good. What was your reasoning?
My reasoning was because of the challenging nature of it.
Yeah, also because of the challenging nature of it as well. Definitely. That's definitely part of it.
Because here's the thing, I actually do agree with you about this. I think that the bad part of this battle is the cutscene before it. That's the bad part of this battle.
Yeah.
And there are enemies, there are going to be bosses later on that are similarly inscrutable and obtuse with their rules that are much worse than this one because they will just game over you instantaneously and not tell you the rules of why. And this one at least gives you a little leeway, like a turn or two to figure something out. Like before he uses total annihilation, the game is literally like, hey, something big is getting ready to happen. See all these flashing lights and shit? You should probably get ready for something. And so like, even though you aren't ready for the absolute damage that total annihilation is going to cause, it at least tells you, it at least flags it and is like, hey, this is going to be a thing. And like, it's one hit KO thing with the Lance of Atrophy and full life combination at the beginning only affects one person at a time. So you can learn it and still progress on. Like, and you can change equipment in the middle of a battle too. So if you have somebody like Alex had Riku's armor or whatever that allowed her to use like a remedy or something, like when she gets hit with it, you could just change to that in the middle of a fight. Like, so if you learned this technique, you could just do it right there. You don't have to start the battle over to do it. So like, I actually agree. I think it is a very good fight for those reasons. Like, it's challenging, but it does kind of tell you what the rules are going to be as it goes. Like when he casts Reflect on himself, why would he cast Reflect on himself, right? He can't cure himself that way. So it must be for an attack coming up or to keep you from attacking. Either way, you're going to want to dispel it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like it's projected in a way that at first, like with how overwhelming it is, like the first try through, I was like, okay, fuck this. The second time through, I was like, wow, fuck that. But like it was enough trial and error in a way that wasn't too punishing for immediate failure, like within the fight. Like you definitely have to know shit going into it. Like it's probably impossible the first try, but like once you know some of the things about it, you're like, okay, well I tried that and it didn't work, so I don't want to try that anymore. I've been having success with this using Dispel, all of that.
Right.
Like I think that was good. Like, and especially if you use haste or haste aga, like you have enough leeway between like the boss's turns to try different things. If it was just like you each only get one turn or only one of your characters gets a turn and then that happens, like fuck that. I would hate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
How about you, Ollie? What do you have any closing thoughts on this episode?
I mean, it was definitely one of the ones that came close to making me quit the game. I will admit that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't allude to the one that actually did, but you get there soon.
I'm sure listeners probably are like, I know exactly which one Ollie's talking about. Like,
I will say the next boss in the game I have not beaten without cheesing before, so I'm looking very much forward to trying that the right way. And of course, the right way is whatever way it works for you. But I mean, like,
yeah,
you know,
the designer intended way.
Yeah. I have never beaten the next boss of this game the designer intended way.
I'm excited. It's gonna be so fucking weird.
Yeah, Alex from now on is just gonna be like 999 or trio of nines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got. Oh yeah, it was 30, not 20. I got those. That's cool. So I still have 20.
So you're good for
left.
15 battles. Yeah. I don't think that there's that many more bosses, so I think you're gonna be fine. Hey, you know what I want to do this week? I know it's like a really minor thing, but I'm a petty bitch. I'm a petty man. This week, we haven't done this in a long time. Let's give our own Twitch and Twitter handles out. Because we never do that.
Hell yeah.
Like for our outro. But I was going to say, Ollie, where can people find you?
On Twitter at John Tier, which is DJANTIR.
Yeah, just go back to the second episode to get a link to that, or just in these show notes, where I've also put them back.
Oh wait, hold on. I actually changed it. Add art to the end of that.
Yeah.
ART. Yeah.
So don't go back to the second episode.
Maybe I'll go correct it.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, bud.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to if you or when you end up doing Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will.
These guys won't shut the fuck up.
I know that you're I know that you're the truest Final Fantasy VIII fan, Ollie.
Yeah, you got to come back on for
Yes.
it.
Sure.
Keep us
Okay.
honest.
Yeah, but if you have any other like thoughts later down the line, you could totally like just either hit us up IRL or like call us at our hotline. Leave us a voicemail at 530-materia, which we actually have one. Speaking of Seymour, I think it's actually involves Seymour if we want to play that and listen to it.
Let's do it.
Hey guys, it's Dan Park. I just figured out that Seymour would probably be in a hymn cover band, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Anyways, what other members of the Final Fantasy X cast would be in what kind of cover band? All right, see ya.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Get ready
Thank you,
for
Dan.
a
That's
3-hour
awesome.
podcast. Here we go.
Yeah, this one's already pretty chunky, but
this
my God.
episode has the gravity, though. This is the important one, so it's fine.
Yeah. I gotta say right off the bat, I think Lulu would definitely be in an Evanescence cover band.
Ooh, very good. I like it.
Aaron could be the guy that they added for Wake Me Up, who just goes, "Wake me up!" Like, that was supposed to only be Amy Lee's song, but they were like, no, we need to have this dude in it for some reason, because I guess nu metal's big right now.
Alex may be able to back me up on this. I was going to say Riku. Oh, I was going to say she could also be Gwen Stefani, like a no doubt.
Hell yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking
I think
that.
because of like her affinity with Machina, I was thinking Devo, because they're kind of Mark Mothersbaugh's very like Machina heavy music.
What is Devo but Machina music?
I can't think of any situation or circumstance ever that Yuna would sing pop music, so I'm just gonna skip right past her because there's no way that would ever happen.
When something's going wrong, you must use it. Now use it. Albert Potion.
Now Quistis good.
I'm picturing Lulu as more classy. She's more the piano side singer.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
I don't know anybody who
Yeah, I don't know any names.
Kamari would be kind of like a Tom Waitsy thing.
Oh my goodness.
For sure. Bluesy.
He has the voice already for Tom Waits. I love it.
Waka would be in a Creed equivalent band.
I was gonna say Titus would be like a Stained or Creed or something like that.
Titus is in Nickelback.
No, Titus would just be Jock Jams.
What was that one
Sugar Ray.
song? When you mentioned Amy Lee from Evanescence, I thought of that one Seether track, "Broken," that she features on.
Oh yeah.
Broken. Yeah.
Yo, there's actually, if you wanna give yourself a treat, look up the Korn featuring Amy Lee, like MTV Unplugged version of Freak on a Leash. Yeah, hell yeah.
And she swears and he doesn't.
Yeah.
I think, so I know we already kind of said Oren, but I think Oren would be into bluegrass music.
Yeah, he's a dad rocker.
I was thinking more like he'd be into like Clutch, where it's like a cool rock band, like kind of an older like rock band, like older people usually tend to like a new like current rock, but like they are heavily influenced by and like aspire to be like classic rock.
Clutch fucking rules. I love that band. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I saw them live, but it was between the Fall of Troy opening up a show for Coheed and Cambria, and I feel like in that setting I didn't appreciate them as much.
That's
as
a
I should,
very
'cause I was just
weird
like,
setting for them, yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh my god, fucking Fall of Troy, holy shit, and then Clutch played, and they like, they kick ass and all that, but I was just like, oh, when's Coheed going on? Which is shitty, but
yeah,
I was also like 16 or 18.
No, I
or whatever,
understand. I definitely understand. I mean, it feels like I'm sure that people who are younger than us who listen to the podcast, as soon as they hear me be like, fucking Clutch kicks ass, they're going to be like, oh my God, this fucking boomer ass motherfucker.
No, you know what? Aaron would just be a fucking Bruce Springsteen cover band.
Absolutely.
And I drank my piss and it was just right.
Brother Lori looks like he's in a band. He's got like the eyeliner and the mohawk.
I was saying he'd be like industrial, you know what I mean? Or he's like one of the alternate percussionists for Slipknot.
Yeah, clowncore.
I can't explain my reasoning behind it, but yeah, Waka's a juggalo.
Yeah, fair enough.
Absolutely. I don't think there's
That's
any
why I was always
question
saying-
about that one.
Yeah.
Blitzball at the Gathering, you know. I feel like the Juggalo community is more like open-minded than Waka is.
100%. I'm
yeah,
pretty
maybe
sure.
so. Yeah, it's true. Okay, actual like classic dad rock though, like Deep Purple or something like that. Sid.
Oh yeah, we always go.
Yeah.
All Sids are dad rock.
Oh, totally.
All Sids.
As far as NPCs, I can totally see Shalinda into some sort of like Christian camp music.
Oh man, Shalinda would be.
Yeah.
If only I could change her.
But thank you again, Ollie, for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Carl, where can people find you on Twitch?
Yeah, mostly just twitch.tv/CarlGerm. Also that on Twitter, which is like the Twitch specific one that I've been using a lot more recently. Talking about Scatman a lot, so, you know. But yeah.
Do you have any runs coming up, or you just did your last of them?
No, that's actually, I was thinking about it the other day, and it was like, I think this is the first time since like September that I don't have any marathon runs coming up that are looming over me, and it feels pretty good. So I'll probably continue just doing the same speed games that I've been doing. Might jump back into Dark Souls Remastered for a minute, and I want to start doing Demon's Souls soon. So that's about it. Yeah.
You've got to get your world record back, though, on Demon Tower.
Oh, yeah. I think that's going to be this week, which is probably by the time everyone's listening to this last week. So check the leaderboard and see if I was successful.
Curtis, you don't really stream much right now, right?
Not right now. I haven't been. But if you would like to follow me on Twitch or Twitter, you can do so under the name Twirlin Curtis. TWIRLINCURTIS.
Cool. And yeah, I sometimes stream, but I'm on Twitch and Twitter as Malform, MAL4M. I might stream some Hades or some FFX homework eventually, but mostly Hades.
Yo, hell yeah.
It's so good. It's so fun. I'm close to usurping my dad. It's close.
Your old man, I think, is what Titus would say.
Why is every game about killing your dad?
All games is the same. But yeah.
Well, Alex, would you like to bury our bodies under a pile of rubble in the snow on the path up Mt Gagazet?
I would love to. Thank you to Night of the Round for the theme music. As always, they are streaming at KOTR Metal. They are currently in the middle of FF8.
Have you guys ever heard of that game?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
Wait, there's an 8th Final Fantasy game? I had no idea.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I thought it just ended at like X2 and then they went to like what, First Class, and then they did a few spin-offs of
Final Fantasy Origins Wolverine featuring Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah, thank you to Nobuo Uematsu and Masashi Hamauzu and Junya Nakano for the game music. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes or wherever. Again, call us at 530-Materia and check us out at every F and FF on all the things. And pitiful podcast hosts, your hope ends here and your meaningless podcast with it.
Goodbye,
everybody.
See you, everyone.